All right, everyone.
That was Cindy.
I think it's the appropriate time. I'll call this meeting to order. And let's see, today is Monday, December 15th, 2025. This is a study session of the Minnetonka City Council. Meeting has been called to order, and we will do introductions. And we will start to my far left with Ms. Saraki.
Sarsa Saraki, Senior Management Coordinator.
Eric Nilsson, City Attorney.
Darren Nelson, Finance Director.
Mike Funk, City Manager.
Patsy Foster Bolton, Ward 1.
Kimberly Wilburn at large.
Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
Brad Wierson, Mayor.
Kizzy Copley, Ward 4.
Paula O'Malley, Ward 3.
Deb Calvert, at large.
Leslie Etko, Natural Resources Manager.
Julie Wishon, Community Development Director.
Will Manchester, Public Works Director.
Scott Borman, Police Chief.
Kelly O'Day, Recreation Director.
Kevin Fox, Fire Chief.
Jace Alexander, DEI Supervisor.
Yeah, please do.
Amanda Maxwell, Member of the Public.
Very good. So, welcome everyone. Good to see you all. We've got a handful of business items tonight. The first of which is the item 3A is the 2026 Strategic Plan Action Steps. And I will turn that to Ms. Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight we're talking about the 2026 action steps, and we will hear from each team lead of the strategic priorities. And the question we have for this discussion is, does the City Council support the 2026 action steps for each desired outcome? So we do have all the action steps drafted, so we're not looking for direct input on which ones to also create under the desired outcomes. We're more looking for questions and comments on the ones that we already have, so keep that in mind as the team leads are presenting. And you will also hear about the performance metrics, and that is more of a FYI, because those are always ongoing. We're always looking to improve those, so those won't be on the report that you approve in January, but you will hear about those today, and you can also ask questions about those. The timeline, so back in 2024, you participated in the City Council retreat with RAP Consulting, and that is where you created the 2025 through 2027 strategic plan. So we are now on year 2 when we go into 2026, and we had our kickoff meeting October 8th, and after that kickoff meeting, the team leads and their teams drafted their action steps and performance metrics for 2026. And then we held our 2 strategic plan workshops on November 13th and 14th. And after those workshops, from the feedback, team leads revisited the action steps, made any necessary changes, and then you will hear about those action steps today. And then after the meeting or the study session today, you will see them again at the January 12th City Council meeting, and that's where you will approve them. And how we did the workshops, it was similar to what we did the past few years, but we did have random assignments. Staff used to sit with their departments, but this year it was random, so we had all the departments mixed together, and it was a little more interactive. Each team lead presented their action steps, desired outcomes, and performance metrics. And then in the small group, they had a discussion about those. And then we had posters all over the room, and with color-coded Post-it notes, they decided if they had questions, comments, if they wanted to collaborate, or green was good to go. So they had red, yellow, and green. And then we had a large group discussion. And I think having employees sit with their departments, we had a lot of conversation. I think they're very productive conversations. We were able to identify where maybe action steps overlapped, and so we were able to cut back on those. And then they provided a lot of feedback to the team leads, and they were able to revise their action steps from those conversations. Just a reminder of how the strategic plan is laid out. We have 6 strategic priorities, and then the second level, we have 18 desired outcomes. And those are what you determined with Craig Rapp back in 2024. And below that are the action steps, and those are updated every year. And the action steps are updated, so each year we make progress towards the desired outcome. And the strategic priorities and desired outcomes are the 3-year plan. So after 3 years, we hope we can accomplish those desired outcomes. I think that's all I have. And then staff are the ones who determine the action steps, so just keep that in mind. That's all I have. Mike, do you have anything to add to this slide?
Thank you, Sarissa.
Yeah, I have a question. Is there a level between, I'm just trying to understand the structure. Is there a level between the desired outcomes and the action steps? Because it looks like there's goals in between those. Like, you have 1.1 goals, you have your desired outcome for example, financial strength, and then you have goal 1.1, or what I'm going to call high level creditworthiness, and then you have action steps underneath that.
So the desired outcome is a high level creditworthiness.
Well, okay, so okay, got it. So there can be more than one, got it.
Yes, so I
Okay.
think under the financial strength, there's 3 desired outcomes, and then there's usually 3 or 4 action steps under each desired outcome.
Okay. Thank you.
And as we go through these with each team lead, we will have all the action steps shown up on the screen, but they are pretty small. However, they match exactly what is in your packet, so make sure you pull it up so you can also read them as we go through.
Thank you, Sarissa. So Mike, back to you, or should we just go through each strategic priority and have each team lead walk through it? What are you thinking?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yes, we're going to turn it over to Darren here. He'll start with
Okay.
financial strength. I do have just a couple quick comments and a
Please
couple
do.
slides, so
Yeah.
thank you, Brad and council. I think going back to your question, Paula, so we often call it a 3-level plan. And so, again, Sarissa outlined the strategic priorities. Those are the 6, and you're going to hear from our 6 team leads today. And then those desired outcomes are real specific. And so, for example, when the council decided financial strength was a major pillar, the question then becomes, well, what does that look like? And so that's defined then by those desired outcomes. So the desired outcomes really define what it means to have financial strength. From that, then we, as staff, create action steps to support that. So and for example, the first one under financial strength, and I'm jumping into Darren a little bit, is that desired outcome of high-level credit worthiness. So that's the desired outcome, for example. What staff then does is, all right, so how do we do that? And so if the outcome is high-level credit worthiness, then what we as staff do in those workshops is come up with the strategies. We call them action steps, but then come up with the strategies of what does that look like and how do we get there. So that's what we're going to discuss tonight is those action steps that support those desired outcomes. As Sarissa mentioned, we're going to hear from the 16 leads tonight. And I just pause to say thank you to Sarissa. She's been really instrumental in organizing our workshops because we do have roughly, I don't do the exact head count, but you saw the photos. It's 40 to 50 staff members that get involved, and that's been an evolution, I think, of our strategic plan, is really looking to involve as many staff people as we can, because really to accomplish a strategic plan, it's more than just directors, it's more than the city manager, it's our team, and that's just part of our values here at the city, is collaboration, and that's a word that was noted up there by Sarissa. So it's a real collaborative effort between all of our departments. Part of that's just, it's easy to become siloed in organizations as big as ours, so what we really try to do is focus on coming together as a team and really looking at how do we work together across departments to achieve the desired outcomes that you've outlined. So with that, just real quick, next slide. So again, thanks, Sarissa. I appreciate all of our directors, all of our participants in this process. I would say, and I think our directors would say the same, that I've really seen just our whole team coalescing around the importance and the value of this exercise, because it does really create the framework for how we allocate resources. That's the importance and kind of the magic in all this is that for a city, it's easy for people to go off and do their thing. It's easy for staff to do different things. What we try to do is then allocate our resources. That's what makes us efficient, and we really get our staff members really trying to work together to make sure we're accomplishing the same mission and vision and goals. So with that, I know you've seen this before, that's why I'd be really quick. That Baldrige Excellence Model that I've pointed out to you before. On the left-hand side of that, that's where you genuinely live, council. You're the leadership arm of this. And then we're talking about strategy. And that's really the importance of tonight, is really honing in on that strategy. We're going to share those share those action steps with you. We'll want your support of those, and certainly any feedback you have on those. And once we hone in on that strategy and these action steps, that's really where it transcends over into the right-hand side of that, where I work with our directors directors work with their own teams on really making sure we end up with the results that we want. And that's really through our workforce and our operations. There's just a lot of synthesizing that happens in all that, so I just, again, want to remind you of that. And then next, real quick, you saw this here at the budget session last Monday, or a budget conversation last Monday. Again, we're down at the bottom of this, and so as you know, we've worked our way through this with vision, mission, values. With part of we have our strategic plan. We've now getting close to finalizing our budget, or have finalized our budget. Now it's that more executional side of things, and so for us tonight, it's those work plans. That's really where we define, again, our action steps. And the other thing I would just leave you with is our strategic plan is one body of work for the city. And while the strategic plan is extremely important, it's not the entire body of work. And so for our directors, we work together on creating those own departmental work plans. Some elements in those work plans are, yes, the action steps. Directors and their staffs also have what's called indicators, or goals, if you will. So there's another body of work that is important to our directors as they work with their own staffs on advancing best practices, efficiencies. So then again, there's more body of work outside of the strategic plan that we work to identify. We also build in those work plans, our capital improvement planning, and a lot of the other documents that you see throughout the year, like our EIP, our post plans. All those documents come alive a lot more in our annual work plans, where things get really defined. And that's just part of, I'd say, at the end of the day, accountability. We want to make sure as staff we're accountable to you as a council, and ultimately accountable to our residents. So there is a real synthesis and process involved as we pull all this together. So with that being said, I don't want to spend any more time. If we can, Brad and council, I want to turn it over to Darren. He'll talk about financial strength, and we'll work through our 6 presenters here. And we know there's 6 presenters. We hope 10 minutes apiece, so we're going to try to go as quickly as we can, but not trying to go too fast, so we're just brushing over stuff. So.
And Mike, just quickly for process. So we've got 6 presenters. They'll make their presentations, and council is to ask questions. When do you want those questions to come? After each section, or do you want to wait till the very end and then
you tell us, and we'll monitor things accordingly.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So at the end of each, so after Darren's presenting, we'll have a stopping slide that'll say
Okay.
questions and comments. So we'll
Very good,
pause
thanks.
after each.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Mr.
Very
Nelson?
good. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to start off with financial strength. That's our first strategic priority, and that's defined, financial strength is defined as a financially responsible organization that delivers results. And so we have our desired outcome, our first desired outcome under financial strength is high-level creditworthiness. And we had lots of discussion about this when we developed this. I'm really looking to maintain our AAA bond rating, which is our target. That's not necessarily our outcome, but our high-level creditworthiness is our outcome with that. And so we have 3 action steps that help us achieve that high-level creditworthiness. The first one is to maintain a Moody's rating agency fund balance rating of very strong. And so Moody's has a whole 50-page document on what goes into a rating of the city. We are looking at trying to measure some of the things that we have control of on that end of it. Some of the things that Moody's rates we don't have control of. This is one of those things, or these first two are 2 items that we can control on that end of it. The second one, 1.1.2, is to maintain a Moody's rating agency net direct debt rating of very strong. And so that measures, basically that measures our net direct debt against our taxable market value. And so anything below 0.75% is good. We are at about a 0.3% range on that end of it and such. So we're sitting in a very good spot on that end of it, and we measure those things as our targets here at the end as well too. And the third one is to maintain the water and sewer utility fund minimum cash balance. And so as we issued a bond recently for the water and sewer utility fund, that helps us with our cash balance, looking at our utility rates, all those types of things helps us maintain that minimum cash balance in there as we move forward with our big capital improvements down the road. So desired outcome 1.2 is improve alignment between service expenditures and identified priorities. This is one where we had lots of discussion on about us always adding programs and not necessarily having the resources to always accomplish all those adds of programs and things like that. So we really want to focus on the strategic plan and the programs that help us achieve those strategic priorities on that and really lift those items up. And maybe it isn't so wide, but it's a little bit more narrow and really lift up the items that we really want to focus on. And so our first action step there is 1.2.1 is to complete the priority-based budgeting implementation process by allocating program costs and scoring among citywide programs. And so we've gone through, staff has gone through the first step of identifying the programs. We're in the process of finalizing those. We have about 315 to 320 or so programs that we've identified. And so our next step in the process, which will be beginning probably this week, will be scoring or allocating costs to those programs. And so that'll take a number of weeks to do that, but we will start going through that process, and then we'll go on to the scoring piece of that. 1.2.2 is the input 2025 actuals and the 2026 budget into the priority-based budgeting program. So right now we're working off the 2025 budget, trying to get a base in place, and then once we get that in place, we'll input actually the 2026 budget in there as well. I would like to amend this one a little bit. I did find out on Friday that actuals actually don't go into the program. It's just budget numbers that go in there. So as a final document, I'd probably take out the 2025 actuals out of this step on that end of it. And then the third one is to utilize priority-based budgeting to identify resource reallocation opportunities within the 2027 budget. And so really looking to utilize that application to help us identify those programs, look on those fringes, find out those programs that we're doing that aren't providing, that are either high cost and not providing a big benefit to citizens or residents or to the public on that end of it, and trying to reallocate those resources to areas that are providing a big benefit to lots of people on that end of it. So that'll be part of the budget process for this upcoming year. It'll be kind of laid on top of our current budgeting process as another kind of layer to the current budget process. And then our last one, desired outcome, is expand sources of revenue for capital improvement projects. I think specifically we're trying to find non-property tax related revenues is when we looked at this during the work session with the council or the retreat. Our first action step there is to work with University of Minnesota Extension Service to update the sales tax projection numbers utilizing the latest data available. A couple years ago, we got some updated numbers, or got a sales tax projection from the U of M Extension Service on their numbers, and so we'd like to update that and get some more current data that's available. I think it's been probably 2 years since we've done that. So we're working on that. And then 1.3.2 is dependent upon, obviously, council and legislative actions. Develop a referendum plan for a sales tax question, potentially on the November 2026 ballot. And then our last one is to develop and coordinate a process to identify, apply for, and monitor grants and other external funding sources. Sarissa has done a great job of kind of putting together our grant spreadsheet or a tracker on that end of it. We'd like to work with her a little bit closer and try to fine tune that a little bit to make sure that from the financial side of it, we're getting all the information we need. So when we do our reporting, we can go to one spot and collect it all versus using that as a starting point and then trying to dive into trying to find the right documents on that end of it and such like that. So that's what we got there. And then our performance metrics. For the first one, as we talked about the bond rating, there are targets to maintain our AAA bond rating. We've seen what having a AAA bond rating does with interest rates. It really helps minimize the impact to residents and utility users. 1.2 performance metric is to improve alignment between service expenditure and identify priorities, and there was to identify programs and priorities and to identify a dollar amount of targeted dollars that are reallocated from some programs to other programs on that end of it. So, and then our third one is to increase our non-levy revenues by $2 million per year. And I think we did, and this is across both capital and operating pieces of that, but we've done a significant amount of grants over the last couple of years on that end of it. So I don't know what the exact dollar amount is right offhand, but all of it has helped with either leveraging our existing dollars or new dollars coming into the city on that end of it. So with that, I'd be open for any questions.
All right, thanks, Darren. Council questions, Deb?
Thank you. Yeah, so I had basically two questions on this. One, the first one is, if we're not putting actuals in the priority-based budgeting, like, how do we know that we're, because it's the actuals that tell us if we're improving. And the other question is, where does the new ERP fit into our strategic action plan?
So I'll answer your first or your second question first here in regards to the ERP. So I had a little discussion, or not a little discussion, but a discussion with Mike probably a month or two ago about the ERP along with the priority-based budgeting application. And from a staff availability and a staff size-wise, we don't necessarily have the capability to do both at the same time and do them both well. And so what I proposed to Mike is that I'd like to really do priority-based budgeting for this year and for the next year, so 27 budget and the 28 budget, and really get that fine-tuned and get us in a really good spot to help us realize dollar savings on that end of it and identify which programs we have throughout the city. And once we have those programs identified like that and understand them, that'll help us build a chart of accounts for a new ERP system so we can input programs right into a new ERP, which would then be able to help us find the actuals. Because right now our ERP system doesn't have the capability to put all these programs into it and account for it on that end of it. So I think it's a long-term process. You know, it's going to be a 3, 4, 5 year deal on that end of it, but we will get to a point where we have those programs built into an ERP system, but it won't be with our current system on that end of it. So,
Thank you.
Other questions? Kizzy?
I guess I got a question. Have you identified the programs that are performing well and the ones that are not? And then you talked about reallocating. So, yeah, I guess that's my question. Then, I guess, I don't know, this might sound like a weird question, but is it about the performance or the service? So
great questions. We haven't started that step yet. So we've identified all the programs that the city has, and so now our next step will be now assigning costs to them, and then once we do that, then we'll be doing the we got the cost allocation, and we got the kind of the performance allocation piece of that. So are those programs, are they mandated? will be one of the identifiers. Are they, how big is the group of people that it's serving? Is it is it a high cost, or is it a low cost type of deal on that end of it? And so once a number of those attributes are measured, we'll be able to, and you'll go through all 325 of those programs and then basically come out with a score of like where these programs rank on that end of it. And so you'll be able to kind of take that low-hanging fruit to start with and say, okay, is this a program truly important to us? Is it meeting our strategic priorities? Obviously, if it goes away or gets reallocated, a certain group is not going to get a program or a service that they had been getting, but if it's a benefit to the greater good, that might be a benefit on that end of it. And the council will be a part of those discussions as well too. You'll see all these programs, and you'll see kind of the rankings of them as well too along the way on that end of it. So you guys will definitely be involved with seeing that through this process. So I don't have all the answers yet, as we're still kind of a work in progress for me on that end of it, but what I understand, it should roll out fairly well and be fairly easy to understand once we have it all scored and ranked. So,
All right, thank you.
Great. Other questions? Anyone?
I had just one other
Go ahead,
quick
Deb.
one. So I talked to Mike about it this morning, and so it sounds like if we get to it before the end of next month, the sales tax about the sales tax question on the November ballot, it has to be by end of January. Okay, so as long as we, yeah.
Correct, and so just for context, Deb or Councilmember Calvert we're just talking about things we were talking about on a Monday morning phone call, and as we were talking about this agenda item, just with the sales tax, I'll get to the timing of that here in a second, but just to maybe set that up a little better, is next Monday, we do have a scheduled council meeting. So next Monday is the 22nd. We do have a scheduled council meeting looking to convert that to a study session, and I think I've mentioned this to most of you, converting that to a study session format, because we were hoping to cancel that meeting. But in terms of business items, we don't have a lot, but we do have a couple items that do need some attention. One of those is, as we're talking with our facilities planning. And so next Monday, we'd have one agenda item dedicated to facilities planning. And so some of the items you've talked about and we've shared together with you as staff is our 4 fire stations. We have the Opus area, public space improvements, Williston, Marsh, Community Center. So just given the nature and the potential impacts of all of those, looking to have a conversation on long-term planning. And so at some point, you as a council, we as a city, together with you as staff, really looking at what's the cadence of that? When do these projects start? How do we fund them? What years potentially could these improvements come into play? So there's just a lot of conversation around that. One of the potential funding sources for these improvements is the sales tax, something we've talked about before. So the timing of the sales tax is such where if we were to look to have a November 26th ballot question, you as a council, we as a city would need to have a resolution approved by January 31st of 2026. So having that conversation next Monday is really the first step in that, at least having that conversation. We do have then 2 other meetings in January to continue to discuss the feasibility of adopting that resolution, and if there's support to do so, yes, we would need to do that by the end of January. We'll have some staff, other staff at that meeting next Monday, and short of really kind of getting into all the nuances of that discussion here tonight, there's some complications to it, just given what I would call a dual track type process, because there's the current state statute with that January 31st deadline, while at the same time we're aware that both in the House and the Senate there are going to be different versions of a tax bill that are looking to probably make changes to how sales tax is implemented across the state. So we'll talk more about that next Monday and some of those nuances to all of that.
Great, thanks, Mike. Any other questions? I've got one. I mentioned it to Mike earlier. We're talking about priority-based budgeting. I like I like the sounds of that. But I was hoping for maybe a little bit, if Darren, you could provide a little bit more. When we were, when I was in Salt Lake City at the National League, I did wander by the, Tyler Technologies is the software provider and the experts on, and they were very happy to see me from Minnetonka, not me personally, but a representative from Minnetonka. But and I just thought if you could give us kind of a quick primer on priority-based budgeting and what we hope to gain from it. I mean, I would think all budgets are priority-based in some ways, but this is a specific methodology, and if you could just explain that a little bit better, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. And so, and I think Rebecca put it well at our council meeting last week. She talked about program budgeting, and really, we look at our public safety program, or that we've been focusing on over the last couple of years. That's a program. It's going to be a little bit more defined within our priority-based budgeting piece of that, but we really are kind of budgeting as programs historically throughout the city on that end of it. This will clarify it and define them a lot cleaner and into greater detail on that end of it. And so each department has identified the programs that they allocate their time and costs to. And so what will happen then is that those are all identified, and so we have 300 and some programs across 8 departments. It isn't going to get into the minutia level of programs, so you could have activities that are happening within a program that are part of a program. We're not getting into that detail level because it's going to be too hard to allocate costs and those types of things to that great of detail. But we're still got a good number of programs that we can help identify across the organization, and so we're going to score those. We're going to allocate costs, and then we'll score them according to like 5 criteria on that end of it. And so when we finish this, we'll really have programs kind of in 4 quadrants. There'll be programs that are identified as high cost, high benefit, and so those are obviously there's a high cost to it, but it's benefiting a big portion of our community on that end of it. Then there'll be high cost, low benefit, which probably isn't the greatest area to be on that end of it. And then there's the high.
Hopefully the mayor and council is not in that quadrant, but that's a matter of opinion.
Right, and there's high benefit, low cost, and then what's my 4th one? Low benefit, high cost.
Low cost, low benefit.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
LL.
Thank you so much. And so then we'll really look to prioritize to kind of take that quadrant where we have some high cost, low benefit pieces of those and see, identify what those programs are. Maybe some of them are mandated. We can't do anything about it, so that we have to keep them there. But then there are opportunities to maybe say, okay, let's, we've added things over the years and years and years, and it may be time to say, okay, let's reallocate our time and efforts on this program to something else that provides a greater benefit at a better cost value for everybody on the end of it. So,
well, thanks for that brief explanation.
yeah, and it's a work in progress. This is our first year of it, so we'll keep fine tuning it as time goes on. But
well, Patsy.
Well, this is a comment because I was at when it was the League or National League of Cities, and I was at that workshop, the priority-based financing, and I was really excited about it. I mean, it seemed, for somebody who doesn't know anything about finance, it felt very clear to me.
Yeah.
And that this process feels so much clearer, and not easier, but much more understandable.
Yeah.
But also, and it seems like there are programs, literally, that you plug these
Right, correct.
into.
Yep, absolutely.
And so I really appreciate that you guys have been going to a training, the 2 of you. Is that correct?
So with our contract, we have some direct
Yeah.
connections with Tyler Technologies. on
So
that
I
end.
appreciate
So,
it.
yes.
Anyway.
And just to give you, I'm sorry.
No,
Just,
go ahead.
Thank you, Brad. To give you an example of when we talk about programs, I'll use Public Works as an example. So as you know, Public Works is a budget. It's one of our 8 departments. Within Public Works, we have line items from salaries, benefits, buying stuff, contracts. We have these standard line items that are consistent with every department. And as you know, with Public Works, they do, within Public Works, there's salaries. But what they do is a whole host of programs, everything from snow plowing, filling potholes, street sweeping, all of that. In our current budgeting format, you don't have that information. You don't have how much do we spend on street sweeping? How much do we spend on snow plowing? And so those are then considered programs. And so what these 300 plus programs identifies those activities and labels it a program. So we'll have, at the end of this, you'll have a sense of how much do we spend on street sweeping. That would probably be a high cost, high value, or somewhere, I don't know if it's high cost, but high value. So that's where programs come into play, is really identifying all of the activity that not all, but we want to get granular without getting, you can
Stuck in
create
the weeds,
1,000
yeah.
programs if you
Yeah.
want. I mean, so it's really starting what we think is a pretty good place, around 300, 315 programs. We'll see how that works, and we'll continue to refine it, but at the end of the day, what you will get and what our residents will get is a better in-depth picture of where monies are allocated to which functions.
So just quickly, and then we'll move on, but Darren, thank you for the explanation, because, you know, we just passed our budget, and we heard from not too many residents, but we heard from some residents, both via email and in person. And, you know, we heard terminology like must-haves versus nice-to-haves, and other things like that. And, you know, well, what is the city stopping doing versus, you know, just adding programs? And I think that the segmentation that you're talking about and the analysis that you're talking about will help us answer those questions and budget better in the future. Not that we budget badly now, but I think that knowledge will help us answer the question, what can we stop doing? Because we know that there's a lot of high priority things that come forward that we can add. And if we add forever, we're going to really get ourselves into a budget place where we don't want to be. So, I mean, I really applaud this initiative. You know, I'm not going to be around here to learn firsthand, but I do want to pay attention to this, because I think it's really important for the city, and I also think it's important for the city from the perspective that we can explain to our residents why we're doing things, and we've eliminated these high cost, low value programs because we've analyzed it, and we're stopping doing things because that's how we've analyzed it and reflected on it. So it'll help us create better roadmaps going forward, and be more effective and more efficient with taxpayer dollars. So enough said, but thanks for that summary. So anything else on? Because we took quite a bit of time on that one, but it's a big topic. So I will turn it back to Sarissa. We're going to turn it over to Chief.
Good evening, everybody. I have the next priority, safe and healthy community, and that is defined as create initiatives to enhance community well-being, engage residents to build trust, and prioritize programs, education, hazard mitigation, and emergency response. And as a reminder, this is police and fire, so we have a fair amount of action steps. We are larger departments. And our first desired outcome is a continuation of our implementation of our public safety master plan. In 2023, there was a very robust evaluation of our departments, and from that, there are 47 recommendations within the police department and 6 within the fire department. And so you'll see most of those action steps align with those recommendations. And I will, the first one is to evaluate and enhance the Real-Time Operations Center to support expanded operational capacity and coverage. Next one is to enhance staffing operational efficiency of the patrol division. Next one is enhanced investigative capabilities by implementing a cross-trained program focused on emerging crime trends, intelligence-driven methods, and proactive case development. Next is transition identified medical call types to the fire department as a primary responder to improve efficiency and community care. Next, continue progress toward fire department service level objectives. This includes increasing peak hour staffing at Fire Station 4, utilizing paid on-call and full-time firefighters. Next is begin the process for Station 2 facility project. This includes steps towards the state bonding process, acquiring an architect for design and evaluation of the current site. Next is seek opportunities for grants to aid in fulfilling staffing requests as detailed out in the Public Safety Master Plan to improve fire department performance metrics. Next is develop and host a public-facing dashboard to provide real-time progress tracking of fire department performance metrics. And the last one is to explore the development of a pre-hire program to maintain adequate patrol coverage during vacancies. Our next desired outcome is to ensure public safety readiness for the Opus area redevelopment as we see light rail is getting closer and closer. Steps to support that desired outcome include collaborate with Metro Transit Police and other public safety partners to continue coordinated response efforts in conjunction with the potential substation in the Opus area. Collaborate with Metro Transit and other public safety partners to facilitate drills and exercises to prepare for potential incidents involving the Metro Transit Green Line Extension Project. Next is to implement a targeted outreach strategy for the diverse and densely populated Opus area, focusing on building strong relationships with community members and addressing their public safety concerns. Next is to monitor development in Opus area and track public safety calls for service, uses data to proactively adjust public safety response and allocate resources based on emerging needs. And the last one is to review fire department rescue plan and collaborate with other public safety partners to identify potential deficiencies in rescue equipment and training required for future Metro Transit Green Line extension service and develop strategies to mitigate potential impacts to the community. And the third desired outcome is to enhance public safety mental health response. First action step to support this desired outcome include the research additional strategies to enhance departmental and community wellness. Second is to develop and pilot an alternative mental health response model. Third is to enhance emphasis on family support, focusing on officer wellness. And last is to enhance the training of fire department personnel to better recognize and respond to mental health related calls. And then for our performance metrics for each of these desired outcomes, the first one, as we look at metrics for our public safety master plan, is to response time for fire and EMS. And the target is to meet service level objectives defined in the public safety master plan. And the second metrics is the continuation of our implementation of our Axon ecosystem. And we will target milestones. We're going to be entering year 2 of that project. Performance metrics for desired outcome 2.2 in the Opus area is we track our community outreach activities, not only the number of activities we go to, but how many people participate and any barriers into those and folks that do participate, making sure that when we host an event, we have good attendance. And then call for service data. I think it's important to track our yearly call for service data in that area. And lastly, our metrics for mental health response is just in general tracking our mental health data. You know, how often are we going out on calls? What type of call are we going out on? And then hopefully as we move into a co-responder model, we do see a continuation of a reduction in the use of force related to mental health calls. And that's a lot. I know I just said. I think I hope I didn't go through it too quickly, but I'll turn it back to the council for any comments or questions.
Great, thanks. Council, questions? Deb?
Just a very minor question on action step 2.1.9. It says explore the development of pre-hire program to maintain adequate patrol coverage. And I know that has to do with the cadet program, but how would that work?
That is in part on it's one of our other strategies for hiring. Cadet is a little different. A pre-hire is, and it could actually include a cadet, would be typically somebody puts a notice that I'm retiring in 90 days. When that person retires, we do an application process.
You get 90 days, I get 2 weeks.
I think we have an incentive. There's an incentive. I mean, if someone gets a really good offer, they could leave tomorrow. But oftentimes, I think there's an incentive to give us 90-day notice. And then, so that's how we do it now, and we do a process. By the time we actually hire somebody to replace that person, maybe 8-9 months have went by. A pre-hire program would allow us to technically kind of go over our allotted strength temporarily knowing someone's going to retire so we could start to backfill a little quicker. And how much quick, it depends on finance. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but it relates to can we do this and what would it look like?
Thank you.
Rebecca?
Thanks. I just have two comments. One, I'm really proud, and it's so good to see some of these real delineated action steps about the mental health side and co-response, and also the notation and the action step regarding medical calls and transitioning the first response to that. I've been bragging about it because I just think it's so collaborative, and I think it really changes the view of public safety, and to be a leader in that way is just really cool, so thank you. Also, I think I'm glad to see all of this preparedness for the light rail opening. I mean, 18 months seems like a long time, but I think that we should be talking about this because the community, I think it'll put the community at ease in some ways to say our public safety is really, we've been working on this for years, and we've got a handle on it. And so I was really happy to see all of those references and the action items for that as well.
Thank you, Rebecca. Anything else? Go ahead, Paula.
Thanks. Two quick things. I was a little, maybe you could clarify for me, it's in goal 2.2, the ensure public safety readiness for the Opus area, where it says calls for service data. And where did it say target changing over time comparison trends?
Where was that? Oh,
Yeah.
metrics?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure what that meant. I was having trouble understanding that. And then the other thing that I was interested in, if there's an action item, if this is an appropriate place, or if there's still talk, and I think Mike and I talked about this morning about the EMS situation with Hennepin County.
Yeah, I'll speak to the target, and then maybe my partner, if EMS comes up, someone can weigh in on that.
Okay.
I think it's a constant evaluation of the EMS system, whether it's police, fire, continue. So I think that's is part of it. I'll let you weigh in. And really what that is as oftentimes during peak call times, if we don't have the proper staffing, there is an overtime
Got it. Okay.
consideration. And so can we see a correlation? And obviously we want to reduce it. As we bring on the power shift and we've done these things, does it decrease overtime cost? I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just wasn't sure what that was.
And I don't know about EMS, if there's anything more it needs to be offered up.
Just more about the situation with Hennepin County, and that may be a separate conversation, perhaps.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Well, I'll start, and Chief Fox, feel free to jump in. So with our strategic plans, we've got the 3 desired outcomes, and so with the EMS conversation, certainly it's an important topic. You don't see an action step in here because it doesn't really relate to any of the 3 desired outcomes. That being said, there is ongoing discussions on that front, and Chief, do you have that in your indicators at all with EMS?
Yeah, we do. We have a number of indicators relating to that.
So as I said earlier, so our body of work is a big piece of our body of work, and then there is certain elements. This is a good example of where it's certainly on our radar screen. It doesn't really show up in the strategic plan, but it is an indicator within the fire department or in their work plan. There are conversations happening. Mayor Wearsome and I have been attending meetings that have been facilitated by County Commissioner Heather Edelson, pulling together the District 6 cities to have that conversation on EMS. I think the big thing that's happening right now is the Hennepin County did initiate a study on EMS services in District 6. We'll end up sharing that with the council here soon, but those conversations are ongoing.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions?
Chief, do you have anything else to add to that?
All right, and I just had a quick comment on the desired outcome 2.3 and the action steps 2.31 through 2.34. Clearly mental health is such a big part of our response, and the thing that I'm encouraged by with the action steps
is that they're not just targeted at our mental health response to our customers, but we're also talking about the mental health of our public safety personnel, because those are two really important aspects of mental health, and if we only were attacking one, I think we would be missing out. We need our officers and our firefighters. They see a lot. They don't talk about a lot of what they see, but there's these traumatic events that happen to people are also traumatic for our first responders, and so mental health is so critical, and we need the people who know how to deal with mental health issues in the field, but we also need to take care of the mental health issues on our team, and I'm encouraged that we are targeting both. So just a general comment, but I think it's really important. Anything else? All right, we'll go to the next.
Okay, Mayor and Council.
Greetings.
I'm the lead on the next strategic priority, which is sustainability, resilience, and natural environment. And the overall goal is to be a community that values the natural environment, sustainability, and actions that lead to a more climate resilient community. So we have 3 desired outcomes for this strategic priority. The first one is to be a more resilient community that both mitigates and adapts to Minnesota's changing climate. And under that, we have 4 action items. And so the first is develop and implement an annual work plan based on a Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, or CAP, that encourages and supports residents and businesses to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. The next is to host quarterly interdepartmental CAP staff team meetings to implement the annual CAP work plan. So this is internal coordination among departments within the city to focus on climate issues. The third is perform 2 to 3 targeted outreach events related to Resilient Minnetonka, which is a program we have that targets residential property owners and encourages them to participate in installing resilient landscaping practices. So it could be a rain garden, a buffer, native plantings, basically activities that help adapt to our changing climate. And then the fourth is plan and implement an education campaign on flood reduction as part of the Excelsior Boulevard Road and Trail Reconstruction project. With climate change, we're getting more intense storms, we're having more flood events, so we're trying to help residents understand what they can do on their own property to mitigate some of the flood risks. The second desired outcome is protect
Leslie?
and manage and enhance the natural environment.
Did I miss one? Did you say there's a 4th one?
There is a 4th one.
Okay, just make sure I think it's in your packet.
Yep.
Yeah, it is in the packet, yep. Okay, so the second desired outcome is protect, manage, and enhance the natural environment. So this is focused a lot on habitat restoration activities. We have 3 action items. The first is initiate 10 acres of new habitat restoration across multiple parks identified in the 2026 CIP program. The second is plant 1,000 trees in the community, including trees sold through the tree sale that residents are planting on their own properties, as well as trees that are planted by city staff on public lands. And then the third is educate and connect property owners who have installed resilient landscaping practices by hosting maintenance workshops, garden tours, or other events that help connect them, help them understand how to maintain and manage these practices they might have on their property, and just sort of build a community around those practices. And then the third desired outcome is community-wide adoption of sustainability and conservation best practices. So again, we have 4 action items under this. The first is provide education and outreach to encourage residents to transition from fossil fuel vehicles to electric vehicles, including both battery-operated and plug-in hybrid vehicles. The second action item is provide education, outreach, and incentives to encourage residents, including income-qualified households that meet the 80% area median income, to complete home energy squad visits so they can understand how they might reduce their energy use by installing some, materials or whatever it might be to reduce energy use. The third action item is provide education and outreach to encourage residents and businesses to support and implement carbon-free electricity and participate in building electrification. So this could be, using electric equipment, putting in solar, whatever it might be related to reducing electrical use. And then promote the city's water efficiency rebate program to incentivize both indoor and outdoor water conservation. So this is about water use. One of the biggest energy users is actually water. So you probably hear about data centers, which we don't have here, but those are big water consumers. So any way we can promote people to reduce water use helps in energy as well. So those are the action items. If we go to the metrics, so for the first action item about mitigating and adapting to climate change, we have 3 metrics. The first is community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. Our target is reducing residential and business greenhouse gas emissions by 52% by 2028. To stay on track with the CAP, which has a goal of 63% by 2030. And so that was a change from the last year. There's a little bit of a change in the math. I think we mixed up a little on the math. The CAP goal is for 2030. This strategic plan goes through 2028, so we had to kind of downscale some of those emissions. The second metric is the number of residential landscape practices installed through our Resilient Minnetonka program. So our goal is 100 additional participants by 2028 that have installed some type of practice on their property. And then the third is number of property owners contacted by mail, phone, or directly in person about mitigating personal flood risk on their private property. And so the goal is 200 property owners are reached. And this isn't just putting something in the memo, it's actually talking individually to property owners. For the second desired outcome, we have, this is related to managing and protecting the natural environment. We have 3 metrics here as well. So we have the first one, which is acreage of restored habitat in our parks. We have a target of completely, this relates to not only restoring but maintaining 500 acres of restoration areas. So basically 500 acres that are active under some kind of active restoration in the city on public lands by 2028. The second metric is number of trees planted. So I mentioned our action item is 1,000 trees this coming year. The total is 3,000 by 2028, so that's a lot of trees. However, as you know, we're losing a lot through emerald ash borer and other causes. The third is number of residential property owners educated on resilient landscaping best practices, and this target is 100 property owners that are educated in some way, whether we talk to them, phone calls, we go out and do a site visit, that are have more understanding about resilient landscaping. And then the third desired outcome, which is related to adoption of sustainability and conservation best practices. We have a number of metrics here. The first is the number of electric vehicles that are registered in Minnetonka. Our target is 1,250 additional registered vehicles by 2028. We have number of completed home energy squad visits, and our target is 600 additional visits in the next couple of years. Number of renewable energy subscriptions, so these are Solar Garden customers and Renewable Connect customers, which relates to on-site solar installations. And the target is 200 additional renewable energy subscriptions by 2028. The second to last is number of electric heating or cooling equipment installations, and the target is 20. So think about like heat pumps on residential properties or working with businesses. Somewhat new technology for Minnetonka, so we're hoping to reach more property owners to install those. And then the last metric is gallons of per capita water use, and the target is to maintain the per capita water use at 75 gallons per person per day, which is actually a target set by the Met Council, which we do typically meet, so we want to make sure we're maintaining that. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Leslie. Questions for Leslie? Deb?
I talked about this with Mike this morning a little bit as well. With the changes at the federal level, incentivizing EV use, and are these realistic or reach goals at this point?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. In my understanding, and I can pass it over to Julie as well, she's really involved with our sustainability group, but none of these metrics relate to federal funding or rely on federal funding. So we're hoping that these targets are achievable. If not, we can certainly assess as we go, as you know, maybe the climate changes.
I mean, it would be great. You know, there are incentives that
For cars, yeah, for sure.
For the cars.
But I think a lot of the solar subscriptions are still out there. You don't need a credit for that to buy a solar garden subscription.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of non-federal in this plan. There are some, of course, but you have a very, active community in this realm. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that folks will participate regardless of incentives. So.
Other questions? Rebecca, excuse me.
Thanks, Brad. Just a quick comment. When, I was out door knocking, people with beautiful gardens that they've put a lot of work into, with native, whatever their rain gardens, whatever they are so proud. I really like the idea of a garden tour. I think the people would really like it too. In fact, I asked a couple people if they would be interested, and they were like, yeah, I'd love to do that. So I like that idea.
Anyone else? Paul, do you have one?
Yeah, just a quick one. I asked Mike about this morning, and I think there was a couple things, one of which was a dashboard that was talked about that I've heard about. Is that on the horizon?
Are we talking about greenhouse gas tracking, or what?
Or
which
just kind of
one?
the over sustainability.
A
I'd
lot
heard.
of dashboards.
Yeah, I know. One
A lot of
dashboard here.
I had just heard something through the Grapevine Sustainability Commission that there was talk about a dashboard, and so I was just wondering if that was indeed the case or if that was mistaken.
In talking to Ally, sorry, I'll just jump in on this one. The regional indicators dashboard to me is pretty dynamic. Some of their waste data is really accurate and up to date. The greenhouse gas is a little behind, a couple years behind for Minnetonka specifically. So in my opinion, you wouldn't recreate that. It's already linked on our website. You can find it, you can see it, the dashboard's there. I'm interested to hear what the Met Council is doing in preparation for the comprehensive plans, because they also are working on a greenhouse gas emissions tool. And so it's not out for public consumption yet, but our sector rep has come and talked to us about it. So I think it's a mashing of what Regional Indicators does and what the Met Council wants to track, and seeing what happens there. So I don't want to create a new one. I think we'll continue to develop what we have, which is Regional Indicators, and promote that.
So I was just curious how we then measure ourselves against our plan, really? Like how are we have these, so is there a way that we're going to kind of track some of that?
Can you go back to the metrics, please?
So we just go and look by the metrics, basically?
Well, this is
that right?
on the dashboard, like the dashboard inside the dashboard? I don't know. But
Yeah, so the strategic plan is,
Yeah.
with the strategic plan
We
on
do
our
it with
website,
housing.
all these metrics will be on the website.
Okay.
So
what
while they're noted here,
Uh-huh.
it's actual data, and Sarissa's instrumental in working with all of our team
Okay.
leads on these metrics noted here are charts and graphs on
Just like the housing.
on the website. So
Okay.
everything that's noted here will be
But
viewable
it-
by the public.
it literally is a dashboard inside.
It is a
So, like,
dashboard, yeah.
So the housing dashboard sits inside this dashboard.
Okay.
And links. I would see the same thing for the regional indicators that would tell you how much greenhouse gas emissions would be. But it wouldn't be a new dashboard, because I don't want to
It's a-
recreate that.
It's data with it, it's dashboards within the dashboard,
That's what I, that's what I said.
And we
All right.
do have charts for all of these already, so we've already been tracking this information
And
that's
public,
available.
okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
Right.
that's on the Invisio dashboard.
That's on our strategic plan, on our website. We can pull it up at the end, but on our website is our strategic plan. And that's clicked on, it brings you to our entire strategic plan, and within that
Yep.
lives all this data.
And so it's tracking if we're actually achieving as well,
Mhm.
right? Okay. cool.
And for these particular metrics, we have the target actually included on that chart. So we'll have a target, and then we'll have the data from as far back as we have information for. It may not just be the 3 years of this plan. And so you can see the trend, if there is any, and what that target is.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Anyone else? Quick one. Just as I look at this, the second bullet point, number of residential landscape practices installed, rain gardens, native planting, and so forth. So if someone like me says, well, I want to be as environmentally appropriate with my landscaping as I can be, and I have no clue on what to do, can I call you and have somebody stop by and say, okay, here's my yard, it's not big, what is it? What would you, if I wanted to be more, do a better job with water, do a better job with energy, you would make a recommendation, tell me some things I could do?
Absolutely, yes. We, Christine Peterson, who is our engagement coordinator for natural resources, she's the point person on that program.
Okay.
Anyone can call up. If you sign up, we can help guide you with providing you more education information or resources. We have online classes that are available. And also, somebody can come and provide technical assistance and say, what are your goals? Here's what you could do on your property. If your goal is to protect water quality or protect pollinators, they'll give you some ideas of what you can do.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, I think we're ready to move on. So next is livable and well-planned development, and that is Ms. Wishnak.
There's a road project on my front page, I don't know. No, we're
You can't.
Looks familiar.
It's not very livable without roads.
That's true. Good point. Good point. Can't get there from here. So
Exactly.
That's funny. It's a good project. Well, it's really about balancing community-wide interests and respect for Minnetonka's unique features while continuing community reinvestment. I think we all understand we have to keep growing because we live in a region that is in a positive growth pattern. The first desired outcome is about the number of affordable housing units within the city, and it was increasing. I'm asking the council to consider maybe a different desired outcome here. It's really increasing and diversifying the types of housing within the city. I think that covers more widely what you're doing in this area. I mean, you do talk about affordability most often, but I think you're doing other things like HIA and that sort of thing that can kind of raise to a different level of housing involvement that isn't just creation of affordable units. So that's a change I'm asking for. Under the action steps, we would evaluate city programs to provide funding for affordable rental and ownership products to assess the effectiveness of the programs. And what this is, we did a few years ago with the EDAC, where we took each program and tried to evaluate exactly what was happening in each program, who were the target markets for these programs, was it working, that sort of thing. We do it on a mini scale within the EIP, but kind of broadening the scope in the evaluation of that. The second action step is to pursue and consider new types of housing, such as manufactured homes. And then when we're talking about what this means during our staff meeting, the word city contracted, meaning the city would be the promoter of this, so we would be the people kind of getting the ball rolling on the purchase of the manufactured home. And then 4.1.3 talks about creating a plan for outreach to expiring affordable housing contracts. You're right on the cusp of having a bunch of units expire in the next couple of years. And so, and we know this, we've been watching it, but it doesn't really matter to the the owner of the project until you're about to expire. So we're watching that and trying to strategize about how to outreach for these folks to keep the contracted affordability intact. And we've been successful in the past on that. It's just we're watching closely. Go to the next slide. Thank you. The current language is enhanced vitality across business sector, focusing on large corporate businesses. We had some back and forth about this last year. Perhaps a language change to say creating a positive business environment by connecting to small, medium, and large businesses, because that really does reflect what we've been doing. We've been putting out a lot more feelers for large corporate visits, but it's hard, and I can see our work is kind of affecting the whole gamut of business type. In the work plan or the action step plan, we would have identifying key priorities identified from the business survey and implement them in 2026. Second is develop a method to identify business needs when staff members meet with businesses. The third is build relationships through events focusing on businesses and one-on-one business meetings. And then finally, celebrate business success through storytelling. You can kind of see this in our Thrive magazine, where we pick, well, we don't pick, we beg businesses to share their story. They're not often wanting to share, but we try to get people in all different types of businesses and different backgrounds and all of that to share what they're doing. And then the next is the current language here says continue to support Opus area transformation as a vital and connected part of the city. I don't know why I changed all the desired outcomes. I didn't mean to do that, but I just
But you
was
just
trying
did.
to be more reflective of what you're doing. Continuing the transformation of Opus by implementing the physical improvements in the area, because that's really what's happening. You're starting to see the actual infrastructure, and whether it be the wayfinding or any of the improvements that we've been talking about for a long time, they're coming to fruition now. So the action steps are to implement the wayfinding and lighting projects in Opus. Second is to design the open public space near light rail with public engagement and creating plans. And then finally, prepare planned infrastructure needs prior to light rail opening in 2027. Metrics for this area, for the first outcome, or the desired outcome, we have number of affordable units. And then in this, we track affordable, market rate, and the type of housing units. So we do that in our housing dashboard. No net loss of affordable units, so this would track the those that are expiring. Hopefully we're not gonna lose them, but because we've talked to them and implemented a program. And then under desired outcome 4.2, we have no net loss of businesses, and we're measuring this by the Secretary of State's business list that they keep track of. And we would have a goal of 5% new businesses between this 3-year time period. We also track pretty closely our Elevate and Open to Business usage. The EDAC heard from specifically the Open to Business program and their stats last week. Number of on-site business outreach meetings, our target for next year is 45 meetings. And then construction value, our target is $500 million between 2025 and 27. And that's it. So if you have any questions.
Thank you, Julie. Questions or comments from council?
Very impressive.
Yes. Well, you're getting off the hook pretty easy here.
That's because I'm here all the time.
We talk a lot
always
about
talk
this
about
stuff.
this.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
nice,
right.
nice job, and I like the idea of diversifying housing types, and I would even like to see us expand the, when we talk about that, what we think about. New technologies, and, we're working on zoning, but I think, what are maybe some breakthrough ideas that we can, come up with to enhance the diversity of housing types that we've got in the community. So just a general comment, but I think it looks good.
Thank you. And you're okay with the desired outcomes changing?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that they make sense. I am. I don't want to speak for everybody. All good?
Perfect.
All good.
Thank
No
you.
argument.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next. So, strategic.
Brad, oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry. Julie, what maybe, I know it's in the works, our zoning code rewrite. We're doing that, but I'm wondering, should we just put that as an action step in here?
Optional, yeah. But we could put it somewhere.
Under one of our
Yeah,
desired
I think you
outcomes, we
have
should
it.
have,
Yeah.
we should have a
Strategy.
reference to our zoning code update.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good catch,
I'll
Mike.
figure out where to put that. Yep, good point.
All right, now Paula?
I think also in the strategy, and I don't know if it was develop a comprehensive green space strategy and then conducting a housing need assessment. Are those action items or just strategies or kind of both, I guess, I saw that in the mix as well.
Say the first one, 'cause I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Zoning code, establish development principles and guidelines, conduct housing need assessment, and develop a comprehensive green space policy. That language was in there too, or am I missing?
I don't see that.
Okay, I must have.
Yeah, do you have a reference, Paula?
I will look, because I rewrite. I'll find it. Just wondering. I was
Sounds
just-
like something I'd write.
Yeah, it was in there somewhere.
Hang on.
It was in there
Maybe
somewhere.
it's
I can look for it,
2025.
that's okay. But I was just wondering if sustainable green building practices is anywhere in there, if we're considering that at all in the near future. Since it's not in our goals, I assume it's not in action. Is there a time when we would be able to revisit and talk about that, not in the context of action steps? Do we wait for the next 3 years you were talking about in order to put that on desired outcomes? Is that how that works?
So I think, with the timing of the strategic plan that was outlined earlier, so we're in like I mentioned, or Sarissa mentioned, 2026 is year 2 of 3. And so really
So basically, we're baked in for our desired outcomes is that my?
kind of fairly baked in. Again,
Okay.
we want to be nimble. So if there's, if the council's looking to, if you want to modify or add desired outcomes, I would suggest maybe that's the next item on the agenda is, let's bring this to a study session and spend some time at a study session talking about if we want to make some
Great.
changes to some of the structure in the desired outcomes.
Right, thank you.
And while it's a 3-year plan, that doesn't mean it's baked for 3 years. It means
Right.
we take a look and refresh anything that needs updating each year, correct?
Correct. Yep, and that's
what we're doing right now.
Yep, that's correct. I mean, the top 2 levels of the plan are fairly baked. I mean, the 6 pillars, those are what I would call kind of cemented in,
Yeah.
per se. And then the desired outcomes, that's a less hard concrete, so it's fairly prescribed. However, again, like I mentioned, our goal is to be nimble as well. So if there are, in the 3 years of our strategic plan, if we need to pivot to something, we need to have a different focus or a renewed focus, then yes, you as a council need to then have that conversation, and then I would say that'd be a study session topic where you want to have a conversation, and then we
Because
look
we're not
to.
doing that, so right now, we're talking about action plans more right now.
Yeah.
So this isn't where we're talking about desired outcomes, and I was just wondering what the mechanism is for reviewing that in between those 3-year.
I would say study sessions.
Okay.
Yep,
But we're not doing that currently right now, so we can suggest that as a.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep, correct.
Anything else? All right, Will, it's your turn now.
Well, everybody look at the nice picture, though, that Will chose for his slide.
Are those lights flashing?
What'd you say, Will?
Sarissa did it.
All right, our overall goal on infrastructure and asset management is to provide reliable, high-quality infrastructure. Our desired outcome, our first one is improved reliability and efficiency of utilities and facilities. And then our first action step is to identify utility replacement program needs and future long-term utility replacements, including our Minnetonka Boulevard Lift Station and our White Key Forest Main design, which is in the Mason Lake area. Our second one is coordinate electrical utility line overhead burial along Minnetonka Boulevard, west of Williston, and then our preliminary work on Excelsior Boulevard, east of County Road 101. And then our third one is review our GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, and plan for our future goals to utilize the technology and then collaborate, including uses for natural resource forestry division, and then looking at software upgrades, because this software is continuously changing just to keep up with the technology. Our second desired outcome is safe, quality, well-maintained roadway system. So it's coordinate the 2026 pavement capital projects, and this would include the Cedar Lake and Ridgedale areas. Our second one is review and update the city's annual pavement management plan. So on a continuous basis, council reviews this in our CIP, and so we look at this plan every year. Our third is to enhance transit offerings through a new transit cooperation agreement with Metro Transit. And then our last is collaborate with our regional and state partners on means of transportation, including the Three Rivers Park District, Bryant Lake Regional Trail on Baker Road. Our third desired outcome is to enhance safety, walkability, and connectivity of the trail system. And this would include explore additional enforcement activities related to e-bikes. Our second would be to coordinate the 2026 capital improvements trail construction along Minnetonka Boulevard. And then the final kind of overlaps with some of the stuff Julie's doing. She just mentioned is coordinating the trail lane plan in the Opus area. We waited on a lot of this just due to the light rail, just to make sure we're coordinating things the best that we could. Looking at our desired outcome 5.1 and our performance metrics, we're looking at a percentage of our annual improvements, and so that varies. We're striving for the 1%. I don't know that we're necessarily there, but it's kind of related to the study session that we did recently on utility infrastructure. And then our GIS technology, we're targeting our number of uses for GIS. Our desired outcome 5.2, the safe, quality, and well-maintained roadway system. Looking at our citywide pavement condition index, which is the target that we look for on the 80%, just to keep our roadways in good condition every year. And then our agency coordination, looking at how many miles of street we're rehabilitating every year. So on average, 10 miles is what we're looking for. And then the final, enhanced safety, walkability, and connectivity of the trail system, looking at the number of trail miles added, impacting that quarter mile of household connections, targeting 4.2 miles of trails added by 28 over the 2-year cycle, and then 800 households. And then finally, looking at our number of contacts made for traffic compliance related to some of the police items. So that's the overview. Certainly any questions? Yeah, thanks.
Very good. Any comments or questions? Deb?
Thanks. So it's kind of sort of goes along with a desired outcome 5.1. So as I've mentioned a couple of times, and you were the recipient of some emails over the summer about reliability, customer service, and Mike and I were in a meeting with the Southwest Suburban Cable Commission, where we talked to the attorney that's the staffer. I mean, his suggestion had to do with, as service agreements come up, to change the wording of the service agreements to sort of make sure that the utility companies understand what the expectation and responsibilities are. And I think Mike probably has an even better idea what would need to go in them, but it's sort of adjacent to this. I don't know if it rises to the level of making it an action step, but it just seems like it might help in the effort for desired outcome 5.1, is sort of looking at the, not just like the, actual burial, but when we're negotiating service agreements, having
Yeah.
to do with that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can look to add an action step. I can work with Will on some language.
Yeah, that'd be no problem. We'll work with Eric and Mike on the language.
I like that.
Anything else, council? I've got one, and I don't know if this is really appropriate now, but when I look at 5.3, enhance safety, walkability, and connectivity of the trail system, you know, we've talked over the years, you know, I mean, I believe in our prioritization system. I think it works well. However, I think every council member has one or two or three little segments of trail that if we could get one thing done, it would just be nice to get that done. And Rebecca talked about one last week or earlier this week, you know, on Plymouth Road, that, boy, if we could just get that done, that would really improve the, you know, the trail system. And it's not big, probably not expensive, but collectively they're expensive. But I was wondering if maybe we could come up with a way and say, okay, each year, each council member gets one segment of not more than X number of feet to complete a trail segment, because I know that when we go down a certain road, and it happened today, and I'm riding with my wife, she says, look at that. It would just take just a little bit, and then the trail would be complete from here to here.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna bore you with the details now, but could we come up with kind of a little pseudo system that would enable us to sacrifice? Because I'm sure each of us have one, and and again, put some limits on it. It can't be 2 miles long, but it could be 150 feet or something like that, because there are just a lot of little uncomfortable segments of trail that are not completed, and we because it'd be such a big job to do them all, we kind of don't do any or many. And maybe if we just say, okay, each council member gets one segment each year, we're going to do it. We're just going to do it, and we're going to figure out how to make sense. We could make progress on that, and it would make council members feel like, gee, we got something done this year. So just an idea.
Sounds like you're supporting an increase in franchise fees.
It could well be. It could well be. I mean, there's a path. Sometimes there's got to be a path. But if each council member knew that they were going to get a segment of trail done each year, they might lobby for that increased source of funding. So it's just an idea. It's probably not appropriate now, but I think it would enhance safety, walkability, and connectivity of the trail system. So I throw it out as a suggestion.
Well, let's put it on the study session conversation point.
Yeah, there we go. Fair, good point.
And
All right.
I think too, Brad, next Monday when we talk about facility improvements, we do have trails as part of that conversation for
Great.
next Monday. So I think it'll get some more
Good.
conversation next Monday as well.
Good. All right, well, think about that idea and poke holes in it.
I don't think we want to poke holes in it, but,
But I mean-
one of the challenges is, I think, for some of those smaller segments, and Will can correct me if I'm wrong, because Will and I have talked about this, it's been a while now, but I think some of the reasoning, like some of those smaller gaps exist is got to buy right away,
Yeah.
retaining walls. They tend to be really expensive endeavors,
Yeah.
even though it might be 2 blocks, and so. Yeah, we can certainly talk about that, and then how do those get fit in, and then how do you want to pay for it?
Yeah, and one other thought I had was that I think the one on there's a place on Plymouth Road with the new development that's taking place by the Wells Fargo Bank. There is a need for some of those.
I think that one is going to be done with that project.
And that's the point. If there's a private development project, and I know that there's a new apartment building going up, and that could be right where my wife reminds me every time that we need a trail segment completed. Why did we, when we were approving that project, say as part of the approval, you need a trail segment here, get it done. If you want to build your apartment building, you better complete that trail segment too. I think we could be a bit more aggressive on things like that, because the people who are going to live there are going to certainly benefit from that. So maybe we could be a bit more demanding within the framework of legality.
There's a little bit more to that story, but.
Yeah, understood. Okay, enough said. I made my point. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on.
There's just one, can you back up, Sarsa? I just need to comment on this, because I find it exciting. The reference to transit.
Mm-hmm. One more.
What are you saying?
Right there.
523.
Yep.
Enhanced transit offerings through new transit cooperative agreement with Metro Transit. I just comment that staff has, it's on there, but staff has been engaging with our providers, and I'm excited that I'm optimistic that we'll be able to maybe bring something forward this year that will be exciting. And Julie's saying, don't get ahead of it.
Next year.
Next year, 27.
Yeah, 27.
27.
Thank you.
Don't know.
We're getting plans in place
Yeah.
and getting, I think, a game plan outlined for, I think, some real exciting improvements and enhancements in 27.
Great. Okay. Let's see, we have one more, right?
Jace.
Community inclusiveness, Jace. Good to see you, man. Welcome.
Well, yeah. What'd you do to Sarissa?
It had a road project.
Oh, what'd you do to Andrews? All right. Well, yep, I've got community inclusiveness, so thank you, Council. It's good to see you all. As always, I appreciate you saving the best for last. So here we go.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm just serious. No. Our overall goal here is to build an engaged, accepting, and compassionate community that embraces diversity and varied perspectives to create an inclusive and equitable city for everyone. So the first desired outcome, all people feel welcome and engaged. There's 4 action steps under there. The first is to host 4 community events showcasing and celebrating diversity, equity, and inclusion. The second, 6.1.2, facilitate 4 engaging workshops or panel discussions featuring speakers and experts geared towards fostering a culture of continuous learning and community education through a DEI lens. And so just to be clear, there's a little bit of differentiation there. The first one would be kind of some of those bigger events that we've done, like Black History Month or Pride, Juneteenth, things like that. And the second is geared more towards some of the community offerings that we'll do, and a lot that's already being offered with Kate and the team here in the community center. And so just being more intentional about tracking those is what that differentiation it would be. 6.1.3, use surveys and community feedback to document engagement experiences and barriers to participation in city services and activities. And 6.1.4, use symbols and language to promote inclusive accommodation for city services, events, and programs. And so what that might look like is the logo we have for Sensory Rooms. It's on the post that goes out about Kids Fest, so you start to notice it's there. Same thing for if you have hearing needs or whatnot, we have a symbol for that, and so you'll know maybe at the start of a council meeting that you can ask for those accommodations, and it kind of becomes something that shows up everywhere, and we all kind of understand what those symbols and language means. All right, 6.2, enhance community representation through art and imagery. So we got 2 action steps here. Develop partnerships with the Minnetonka and Hopkins Youth Advisory Board and local schools to encourage students to participate in creating art, and to enhance current marketing tracking system and selection process for Art at the Marsh. And for the first one of these, right now we're working with some Vantage students that are creating a little video for us about just trying to get more youth engagement in some of our boards and commissions in general, but really trying to work on building those relationships so that we can bolster that. All right, and 6.3, create and expand equitable opportunities for accessing programs, services, and facilities. So the first one, develop a standard practice for collecting demographic data on who's accessing city programs and services. And so that really is just how do we standardize it? When someone fills something out to apply for a commission, are those the same demographic questions we're asking, if we're asking at all, for different services and programs that we have? Of course, always optional, but just want to make sure that it's the same across all the things that we're doing as a city. 6.3.2, develop a youth programming initiative targeting diverse communities and fostering positive relationships with police and fire. 6.3.3, provide new recreation class offerings in each area, youth, teen, adult, and senior. 6.3.4, promote program services and events at the Marsh. 6.3.5, provide low and no cost special events that build community. 6.3.6, provide a minimum of 60 youth scholarships in 2026. 6.3.7, provide a sensory space at Summerfest, Kids Fest, and Burwell Spooktacular. And 6.3.8, offer at least 6 ACE internship positions. So then as we go over to our metrics for some of these, let's see, where did I put mine? don't have the right angle for that, so I'm going to go off my sheet. So for 6.1, number of promotions of inclusive spaces. So the target being for every event that has some kind of accommodation attached to it. It's in the post, it's in the flyer, whatever it is, right away. Number of submissions to the essay contest is one thing that we're going to be tracking. And then number of surveys provided to community members. So right now we have a target of surveying community members at a minimum of 2 events. I think we'll definitely do more than that, but try to be more intentional. I know, like for our Latino event, we worked with Matt Kumka and had someone from Parks asking those questions that they're trying to get feedback from the community on. So again, trying to not always reinvent the wheel, but what are we already doing in different places that we can start to interject different departments and or projects to get a better result. For 6.2, some of those metrics, number of student-created art pieces that are installed, performed, published, etc. So that would that could include some of the writing samples that we get. Number of applications to display art at the Marsh, and I know right now it's kind of been word of mouth. So again, some more intentionality about how are we getting applicants because while word of mouth is awesome, it means you have to know the right people. And so again, just trying to think about how we can be as equitable as possible there. And then for 6.3, number of events with lactation spaces, again, a symbol language, something that you would see that it's there. Number of events with sensory-friendly spaces, we have a target of trying to do at least 5. Number of ACE positions offered and versus number of ACE positions filled, because it depends on what we get. And then rec program participation and membership numbers, so trying to improve those numbers of membership as we go on. Comments, questions?
Thanks, Jace. Comments or questions for Jace? Deb.
Thanks, Mayor. So this is, this is incredibly important work, and boy, you've got
A lot of work for a tiny.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering sort of, in your networks, what you're hearing about, and, it's not the first time I'm bringing it up. We're using the hot button words, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because the work is really important. We have to do it. And so what are you hearing in your networks about continuing to use those words, how it may affect municipalities that do it, including the name of your title, the commission, and the work?
Yeah, good question. So there's been lots of discussion about this, and I've been able to talk to people across several different cities. I'm the chair of Equity Connect, which is DEI practitioners across different cities, and so I've been lucky in that I've been able to touch base with lots of different people. And really it kind of comes down to what's your city status, in terms of resources, in terms of how much funding you get, in terms of all of those things. The other thing that we're finding is they're looking for the coded language. So that's kind of the consensus that many cities have come to is, we're doing it, this is what we have been doing, if you want to find me, you will. And changing the name to try to, stay as safe as possible for as long as possible isn't really working. And so you kind of have to decide, do we want to try to placate this to hold on or keep the spotlight off of us as long as possible? Or do we want to stay with what you all wanted in the first place? And because again, this was started before me. And so as you were starting to have these conversations and so thinking about what that looks like for you, that's kind of been the conversation though, because lots of people have, if they get tons and tons of federal funding, obviously nervous. And so I see some of those cities trying to play with words a little bit more. I think we're just in a little bit different position, and we're really lucky to be where we are. And so I hope that answers your question. But yeah, it doesn't seem to really matter. If people want to, if they want to come, they're going to come. Doesn't matter how we spin it.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Anything else for Jace?
He's so good.
Well
Paula?
said. Hell no. Thank you.
You know, go ahead.
I guess I do kind of have a comment. I guess I was thinking about that as Darren was giving the updates around performance and services, and it made me think about, you know, the DEI work, because I know, yes, this work is under attack, but because it's so important and we need the work to be done, I agree with what Jay said. It doesn't matter, you know, if you change the name of it. If someone wants to read through your documents and see what you're doing and, you know, kind of pick through it, it's going to happen. And so, but that is why I was thinking about it as he was giving that, you know, just talking about like reallocating. And I was like, I hope this is not going to be reallocated. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. So that was part of that thought process. So,
Well,
yeah.
Well, thanks for those comments. And, you know, and I'll just add that our values haven't changed. They're not going to change. And Jace, you know, I want to congratulate you. I think you're doing a great job. But the other thing that I really love about the work you're doing is the diversity of the definition of diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not, you know, I mean, kind of the dividers want to make this all about race, let's be honest. Well, race is a big part of it, but so is consideration of lifestyle, where people are in their lives. I mean, lactation stations. I mean, we haven't had a lot of conversation about lactation stations in the past, but you've brought that forward. You know, sensory spaces. You know, we've done things like that for a while, but you've really put emphasis on that. And I think the broad and inclusive perspective that you're bringing to the whole issue of diversity positions us well, both with the people who value what we're doing and the people who may be questioning what we're doing. And I think we could say, hey, listen, this is a very broad initiative, and it's 100% consistent with our strategic plan that when we say we're a welcoming and inclusive community, it means everybody. And I think you've really brought great focus to that. I really appreciate your presentation and the approach that you've taken. So I think that positions Minnetonka really well. And you and I have talked about that separately. So I think it's worth noting and saying.
Thank you, Mayor.
So, anything else? All right, well, we've got more of an agenda here. So I think that wraps up this item. Oh, discussion questions. Okay. I think we've indicated that, but anyone want to comment specifically on the discussion questions? Support 2026 action steps?
Yes, we do.
We do.
We do. All good?
We heard a couple tweaks. We'll come back with a couple tweaks. And then I think as Sarissa pointed out, the January 12th regular meeting, we'll have this as likely a consent item for you to officially approve for 26.
Great.
And then if we could, Mayor, just real quick, could you just pull up the website, Sarissa? Is there a way to exit out of there? Just to give you a flavor, because after you as a council, again, approve this on January 12th, Sarissa then works on uploading all of this data and updating the strategic plan as it lies, I guess, on our website. And so I think this helps illustrate. If you haven't been to our website, just kind of quickly point out to you what that looks like. You as a council receive quarterly updates at council meetings, and you get kind of a year-end snapshot, a little deeper dive. But that's what it looks like on our website. So anyone, it's transparent. It's meant to be transparent. It's public-facing in the sense we have our sticks, pillars that are listed, and then I think as you noted earlier, Paula, with all of the data, it's all listed there. So all the metrics that we talk about, this is the current year's plan. Many of those same metrics do carry over. Staff has, I think, tweaked a couple of those because, again, we want to be flexible in how we report the data. Oftentimes we might present to you, well, let's present the data this way, and then we learn like there's a better way of presenting it. So we make some adjustments that way. But again, that data is all there for anyone it's public facing, so anyone can go and click around and see all the metrics and the tracking that we do on it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
All available online for not only us, but the public. All right, next item on the agenda is 2026 City Council Study Session Work Plan. And I'm going to suggest we take a break now for about 7 minutes, and then we'll come back and we will, I think that probably the most content intense part of the study session is over, but we've still got quite a bit of discussion ahead. So let's come back in about 5 or 7 minutes. All right, we'll restart. The next topic is the 2026 City Council Study Session Work Plan, and I'll turn that over to Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Council, let's see, Sarissa, thank you. We got it, as noted in the staff report, just entering this conversation, 2 questions that staff is asking for you to discuss is what public policy matters does the City Council want to discuss during the 26 study sessions? And obviously that's the exercise we're going to go through. And then at the end of it, one of the questions that we want to ask is, does the council, how did the 30-minute open time work? Do you want to see any adjustments to that? Keep it, tweak it? So I think we want to just flush that out with you as well. Moving on, so in the staff report, what we, kind of the goal in the staff report was to really distinguish kind of 2 different categories in our study session work plan. One, what's noted here is what I call those kind of annual staple events, things that really we have to schedule. And those are related to having Peter Leatherman come and talk about the annual community survey. Tonight's study session, for example, every December we're going to hone in on council and staff appointments. We also have budget items throughout the year that we want to schedule. Our legislative priorities, that's again on tonight's study session work plan for December. The action steps, all things housing, as we like to call it. That's usually a July thing where we do housing conversation. And then the zoning code rewrite is something we'd want to also plug in. So those are kind of, I think, items that we do want to plug in. If you looked at your staff report, we did have an attachment that noted most of those items. So you'll see those kind of plugged in already. But there's also then that leaves a lot of open space for your time as a council to really prioritize what it is that you want to talk about next year. And so these are the items from staff and council. So staff has some suggested items for your consideration. And then throughout the year, I've made note of some items you as a council have brought up to me, either in our phone calls or one-on-one meetings. So those are noted here as well. So we do have Mentimeter. We used Mentimeter last year to help try to facilitate that conversation and help prioritize. That's really the next step in this, is to take these items and, in essence, use Mentimeter to flush that out. I mentioned to Brad before we do that, if there's an opportunity then for council to talk about items that you might have up there that you want to advocate for, because it'd be helpful to have some context as to what some of those bullet points are. So I think, Brad, with that, I'd really kind of turn it back to you and ask your council members. And I did talk to all of you, I think, on the phone, just mentioning this is kind of how this would roll tonight. So if there's anything, first off, there's anything on this list that should be added, we should also make note of that. And then I think then asking council if they want to add any context for some items that council want to advocate for, in essence, to getting it on next year's plan.
Great. Well, just a couple of quick comments on this. I mean, one is that I don't really have a dog in this hunt. In 2026, I'm not going to be here. This is going to be what you all want to do. And so I think that's important. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to share just from a perspective point of view. And one was a while back, former Governor Tim Pawlenty came and talked to the Regional Council of Mayors. And he said something that really stuck with me. And he said, you know, he before he was governor, before he was a legislator, he was an Eagan City Council member. And Eagan has 5 council members on their council. And he said, you know, being a city council member is the only level of government that I was ever in where if I wanted to get something done, I only had to convince 2 other people. Now, we have a 7-person council, so here we have to convince 3 other people. But when you're governor, you have to convince a lot more people than 3. And when you're a state senator or a state representative, you have to convince a lot more people than 3. And so that really drove home this notion that I've long held that this is a team business. But if you really want to get something done, you have to work with other council members. If you think, well, I got elected and I have all this power, the reality is you have no power. You are just a resident. Because if you can't work with other council members to build consensus around what you want to get done, you will be able to go to council meetings, and you'll be able to share your opinion, and you will get nothing done. You have to work as a team. And so now we're limited by the open meeting law, so we can't have a quorum. But if there's something that's really important to you, you can talk to 2 other council members and get their support. If there are 3 people in a council meeting that speak passionately about something, it's a rare circumstance where that item will not pass. But it's a team game. If you're a lone wolf and you want to get stuff done, well, that's great. You can be a lone wolf, but you won't get anything done. So that's my point, is because last year when we did the Mentimeter thing, you know, people brought up all these different topics. There are a lot of things that got 1 vote. It was the person who brought them up, and there was no consensus on them. So I wanted to provide that as an intro because I know council members have things that they want to get done. And, you know, and I know council members get frustrated when the city manager says, well, it takes 4 votes. And he's really saying the same thing that Governor Pawlenty did, but I think Governor Pawlenty said it in a way that, wow, I mean, the only level of government where I only have to convince 3 other people to get something done is a pretty powerful notion. So I thought before we go through this process that I wanted to share that. And then what I thought, I kicked this around with Mike, and you know, we want to do this reasonably efficiently. So what I would kind of recommend is, why don't we each identify the things, and I'm not going to identify them. I don't have a dog in this hunt for next year. But why don't you identify things that are important to you, and then we'll take turns. We'll go around, and you can champion if Trail Street and project, you know, or let's see, review developer refinancing policy. If that's your thing, okay, well then sign up for that one and make a 30-second pitch on why you think it's important. And then I think staff is ready to use a Mentimeter to see where after we've done that. And then we'll just take turns, and if somebody has 5 things up here and somebody else only has 1, well, you know, we're gonna go through all the people who have 1, and then you can get your second one, and then if somebody has 5, they can, at the end, they'll get their shot on their items. But I think that way, if we each own these items and each pitch them and each prioritize in our mind, we can get through this fairly quickly, and we can come up with a good plan, if that makes sense to everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
What if we have other things?
Well, I think that you can also. I think you can. I mean, we can add those now if you'd like, and consider those, or you can bring them up if you have other things. You're not limited to this list. So we just want to try and move forward. You know, kind of move through things as efficiently as possible, but give everyone a chance to say the things that are important to them, to make a pitch on them. And if there are some things that should come off, say, well, that was my idea, but it's not as big a deal to me now. We can take them off as well. So I think we can add. Let's do that now. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to add, or would anybody like to pitch for maybe taking some things off of these issues? So, Councilmember or Kimberly, whatever.
Both. Yeah. So I have an addition. 2 things I'd like to add.
Okay.
So one, so in discussions with Mike, I would like to have a session where we talk about specifically advertising targeting youth around tobacco, around cannabis and THC products. And then in that same session, a talk about kratom or kratom. I don't know how, but it's an opioid type substance. I know it's served at a restaurant in Hopkins. They serve it as a drink. I don't know if any places in Minnetonka serve it. There's all kinds of warnings. The Mayo Clinic has some warnings out about consuming it. Right now, it's not a controlled substance. It's not anything that we have, but I'd like to get some more data on it and what's going on around that, and if that's something that we need to talk to our legislators about.
Kratom.
K-R-A-T-O-M.
K-R-A-T-O-M.
And you drink it?
I bet you can eat
Like
it.
a
you
tea?
Can, yeah, you can drink it like a tea. I think it can be consumed different ways, but
Take it back to my job. I think I have all kinds of this.
And you can serve it to minors and.
yeah, as
It's
far as-
unregulated.
If it's not controlled.
yeah, it's not regulated. So as far as I know, you can. Yeah.
Well, I jotted down here, Kimberly, advertising targeting youth regarding, I said bad substances. I mean, because in reality, they're all bad. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, things that are potentially harmful. And I think we could be inclusive in that, whether it's
Sure.
tobacco or it's, vaping or whether, all the above.
Cannabis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, cannabis
Okay.
for youth is not a good thing either. I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
That's it.
And Brad,
Yep.
I'm sorry, if I could just jump in real quick. So yes, Kimberly mentioned to me earlier, on the left-hand side, that last bullet point says update review of cannabis stores in Minnetonka.
Yep.
We have it teed up different, the staff did not get this updated on the slide, but in Mentimeter, what do we call it?
Substance regulations.
Substance regulations, kind of covering all things from THC to flavored tobacco to
Okay.
cannabis.
Cannabis to kratom.
Kratom. So,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh,
Okay. And then
Yep.
real quickly is it would be nice to get, again, council, where council is regarding drive-throughs and drive-through regulation.
Right.
And that way, when I'm on the zoning, as a representative on the
Right.
zoning thing, I can make sure that I
Yeah.
have,
Understand
where
where the
council
council
is,
is,
yes.
yep. All right, so,
Those are my-
drive-through regulation, how's that for a concept?
yeah.
Is drive-throughs, it may not be, I'm sorry, this slide did not get updated from our meeting earlier today with staff. It is in Mentimeter, right? So
Okay.
we do have
Oh.
drive-throughs in Mentimeter.
Okay, so I guess that's just me advocating then as opposed to.
Okay, well,
All right,
nice.
you got your first two.
Okay, good job, Kimberly. Is there anything else people would like to add?
Well, I have something, but I don't know if it can go here. But I've been thinking about the ICE situation. I know that we really can't control the federal government, but I would like to have a conversation around learning more what we can do to help with what's happening at the federal level. I feel like we don't discuss it enough, so I would like to know what can we do to do more supporting our residents.
No, would you like to see that on a study session?
Yeah, I wanted it on the study session, so I don't know.
Okay, we'll add it, yep. Okay, we can add that. So, should we call that,
I had two.
okay.
I don't know what to call it.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, Fed, state, enforcement issues or something like that.
Yeah, local control type. I was,
Enforcement concerns locally.
yes.
Okay, I'll jot that down for now. All right, thank you, Kizzy. And then and Deb, did you say you had a couple?
Yeah, so I know that Will talked about e-bikes. That was a huge topic at the doors. Huge. And I know
Yeah.
that it's a West Metro issue. I know that the legislature
likely will not touch it because it's so specifically a West Metro issue. And because of that, I feel like if we're gonna solve it, like we kind of need to solve it. So that kind of e-bikes, and then also I think things are already in the works about this, but adjusting our public comment period practices, which Brad, you and I
Yeah.
were in that
In Salt Lake.
session together, and I know it's already in the works, but
Mike and I have been talking about that and kind of coming up with, and Brad, coming up with just kind of a standardized policy so that we don't look like we're targeting people, and I think we can
right,
manage
and
that.
you know,
yeah.
and one of the things that I talked to Mike about is that because it may occasionally feel like a change to First Amendment, you know, practices here, may be worth it to talk about. Maybe not. I mean, you know, because honestly, if we just start doing something like comment cards or a sign-in sheet where people don't have to give their address, say, publicly, but we have it, you know, it just streamlines a little bit what happens, but.
You know, a couple of comments on that. I mean, I think there's two pieces of it. One is item 8 on the agenda, you know, and where we put it and how we handle that. And then the other part is when we solicit public comment about an item that is on the agenda. And, you know, I think having two sets of rules and being very specific about that, you know, I don't think if you're here for a housing project and you want to come, you don't have to fill out a comment card for that. I mean, but we might have public hearing, you know, when we have 100 people in the audience who want to speak, we may have a different time restriction than when we have 3 people who want to
Right.
speak. And so you kind of gauge that, you look at the audience and say, okay, we're going to set the rules up, treat everybody the same, but that's going to be different than item 8 where we might have some very specific rules and specific limitations and maybe a timer and maybe all sorts of things, maybe a pre-filled out comment card. I mean, that's TBD, but I think those are two separate types of public comment, and we can treat them differently, I believe.
And I think that for me, the third part of that is really what we learned in that session about what's legal and what's not legal, what we
Right.
can do and what we can't do, what residents can say and what they can't say, and to whom, and to have us learn that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and one further comment, because, you know, when I was sitting in that session, I was doing a little self-critique. And, you know, I think we want to treat everybody the same. But I know that there have been circumstances, and you'll know what I'm talking about, where, you know, I haven't treated everybody the same. You know, we had a circumstance where somebody came and wanted to make a fairly lengthy political statement, and I knew of this individual in the past, and the city had had some interaction with this individual. And I thought, okay, what's the better decision to, you know, say, well, you're limited to 3 minutes and cut that individual off, or let him go? And I let him go because I thought that would be the least disruptive to our meeting and so forth. But, you know, as I look at it now, do I do that? Would I do that to every speaker and just let them go? And the answer is no. So, you know, I want to make sure that our rules are consistent, and so I think the more specific we can be, the better. And Rebecca and I have talked about that, and but anyway, I think it's a good one. Anything else you'd like to add?
Or take off.
Well, that's the next question.
Well, that'll be the
Are
minty
there some
meter.
things here that we can?
Paula's over here.
Oh yeah, excuse me, Paula. There we go.
Actually not, a couple things to consider, but also things to advocate for, and also maybe change potentially. Mike, you and I talked about this, and I don't know if you followed up with staff on the potential. I just know that the last 2 years we've talked about EIP and CIP in the same session. Was there any follow-up with staff about before this? It just gets to be a lot, and by the time we get to the business part of the EIP discussion, which is last, everybody's pretty comatose, and so maybe it doesn't get as, our attention is waning usually by that point, and I just wondered if there's any it's worth it all considering splitting those two into different sessions and looking at things more by subject areas. I know things have to get sprinkled throughout the year, but I was, for me, the way I had to think about these things in order to make it work in my brain is to break them into subject areas a little bit, and that's where it came to me is we have a lot of housing related items, we have a lot of things sprinkled in there that are capital improvement related items. Would it help people get their arms around them to split those into, kind of the CIP and related discussions and EIP related discussions?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mike.
yes, I mean, I think absolutely. So I would just say it this way, tonight we really want to try to prioritize
Right.
what you want to talk about. And then after tonight, what staff will do is take this feedback and bring back a kind of filled in or completed calendar that will show how we can get these all fit in a way that works for everybody.
Okay, so that wasn't a what, it was a how. So that would be my how suggestion. And then in terms of what, I was wondering if we could have a more dedicated, robust discussion about sustainability and natural resources. Right now, we don't have it's sprinkled, but maybe bringing some of those things, some issues, like a topic area, like part of a study session, going to that. I don't know if there's interest in that, and bringing, and then.
So sustainability issues, any more specificity on that?
Well, just like we have EIP and housing and land use, I mean, maybe it would fit into the housing thing because it lives kind of under community development. If we can include an action item of, I guess, putting that discussion there or somewhere sprinkled throughout. Just, kind of an update and discussion on any goals that we have. And then I guess the lastly is parks. Kind of any updates on kind of parks. I just didn't notice that in terms of our things that we're looking at during the year. So again, either as part of the CIP or discussion, and maybe that'll live within that, and we don't need a separate discussion or action or study session item here. So I don't know if there's any interest in any of those, so just thought I'd throw them out.
All right, I'll add parks. So then,
Just clarify, Brad, so Sarissa's, she's getting those typed in. and
Right.
So she's listening, and we'll put those up on Mentimeter.
yep,
And I would just say, I think for any of these ads, and maybe use your example, Paula, whether it's a sustainability conversation or park conversation, you're advocating for that. And then so I think if it makes it to the list, then at some point staff would want to understand what is it that more specifically you'd want to bring forward. What does that conversation look like? So we could prepare for that.
so I think now,
Sorry.
Patsy, yep, sorry.
I mean, I wanted to advocate for the off-leash dog review
Yep,
in Purgatory Park, which I'm wondering if that can't, because I know that we're talking
We're
about
committed
other
to it.
yeah, we're,
dog parks and different parks, and if that could all be together.
yep. Dog park review.
Paula,
Like with the sustainability, natural resources,
Well-
parks sort of discussion?
yeah.
Because they're all
well,
interrelated.
Yeah, but like when you mentioned parks, and I was thinking, well,
Could we talk about other parks when we do the Purgatory Park review?
other parks, but also other dog-related
Related issues. Yep.
issues.
I'm going to advocate for taking two things off because I think they're state issues and I see them as issues that we're going to be talking about with our legislators, which is group home clustering, and I don't think we have a lot of authority over that, and I think we're getting over our skis on that. And then also speeding. I mean, to me at least, and maybe this is less of a clear issue, but one of the things that I think is really an opportunity potentially is the camera enforcement and kind of seeing where that goes before because I think that would help us have a more informed discussion if we have an opportunity to do some of the, I'm not saying the word correctly, camera patrol or whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, I don't know how other people feel about the 30-minute free time, but I feel like it didn't do any good, and I would like to take it off.
Well, there were times the meetings got long, we didn't get to it.
We didn't get to it,
Yeah.
so it seems, and so what happens is we spend an extra 30 minutes talking about just saying what the subject was, and I feel like it was a waste of, I would have rather gone home.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with that because at least in one instance I was able to bring up something that has made it onto the proposed study session, which is the short-term rental issue, and that wasn't something that was on, the study session list that we composed this time last year. It came up after the fact, and so that was something that was concrete that came up because of that. And the whole reason to have that was because we're here right now setting this stuff for the entire next year. We don't know what's going to happen, say even between now and June, and having 30 minutes of quarterly time to be able to bring something up and potentially advance something. We may not have to use it every time, but if it's, I'd rather have it there and not use it.
Well, if it's there, we're going to use it. It had, I don't remember it coming up that we hadn't used it. I'm just saying, maybe reduce the number of 30-minute free time.
We only have 4.
I think we could use it more efficiently.
Yeah, that's what I was
I think we could use it and really try to stick to 30 minutes. I think that's going to be a priority, and try to be really efficient in presentation and conversation. If it solicits a lot of conversation, that means it's something we need to talk more about. If it's kind of and I've had duds. I'm going to be, if I bring up a dud and it doesn't really get anywhere, then we know and it'll be enlightening.
Yeah.
So perhaps we could reduce it to 3 from quarterly to trimesters.
I think there's another discussion we had about the study sessions and being more efficient. All
in
told.
point.
Right, and we've done a great job of that.
And I don't know that we want to do that tonight, but.
No, well, I think too, why don't we talk about coming up with some methodologies and rules to make the 30 minutes more effective and useful?
Okay.
And maybe along the lines where, okay, if you have something you want to talk about, you get 5 minutes to make a presentation. And then, and so that means that you could be, have 4 or 5 of those in a 30-minute period. And if you get your 5 minutes and it's up, then you move on to the next one. And if you run out of them, you don't extend it. Okay, we're done more quickly and it's more efficiently, but we did have the opportunity for people to have an opportunity to bring items up and, and make your pitch quickly.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I think there's some methodology we can make. We definitely, I hear a pretty broad consensus on wanting to make the 30-minute time more effective than it has been. Let's work on that before we decide to eliminate it.
Okay,
It's
I
kind of the
agree.
take is what I'm taking away. So now speaking of efficiency, we've got this list. We've taken 2 off, speeding and group home clustering. Is there anything else people would like to take off?
Well, I just have a question
Yep.
for the candidate filing fees.
Yep.
Whoever that is.
That's me.
Could you just give me just a quick?
Yeah,
What-
right now, real easy. To file for, to run for a place on city council, you have to pay $5 and that is it. I personally think there needs to be a higher barrier to entry, not barrier to entry, but you have to have more invested in running
More
for
investment.
a seat to, it indicates that you've thought about this. I'll give $5 to anybody who asks for it right now, so line up. But if somebody tells me it's $100 or $200, ooh, okay, I have to want to do this.
Well, two things on that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, the county charge, I thought they charge, oh, I might be wrong, I was gonna say $100, but I might be wrong on that, but, I think I hear what you're saying, Rebecca, but we don't want it to be too steep where people, maybe can't afford, if it's like $200, that is enough to deter someone to run for office, so I don't wanna put people in a position where we deter.
I just
people
want
from
to talk
running.
about it. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna- we're not gonna debate it
I was just asking what
tonight.
it was about to know
Yeah.
whether to vote for it.
Yeah.
I had a question though. I wanted to know what the digital accessibility mandate, I didn't understand what that was about.
That's a staff one. And
Okay.
If I could, Mayor, maybe I can touch base on a couple of the staff ones up
Okay.
there. So the first.
Could we
bullet-
highlight the staff ones and, go ahead.
So the first one noted there, Trail, Street, and Project Overview. And that's a staff ad. Just added that this last week. Spoke with Will Manchester about that. The idea it would be in perhaps the first quarter of every year, likely a February or March. January study sessions are a little harder. But perhaps a February or March where staff could present to the council the big upcoming projects for that year. So for example, if we had something in February or March of 26, staff could just spend a little time highlighting the 26 projects and 27. So for example, rewind the clock with Excelsior Boulevard, where staff then could come forward and say, you know what, council, we've got these 3 big projects coming up. Here's some important elements of those projects or some features of those projects, whether it's trails or roundabouts or signals, pedestrian crossings. So at least you got a better sense of what's on the horizon and at least having that information going into a construction season. So that's why that's listed there. A couple other ones that staff had put up here. The second from the bottom on the left, which is review status of the Public Safety Master Plan, implementation service level objectives. And talking with Chief Fox and Chief Warboom, we suggest that at some point next year, staff give an overview of just really where we're at with the whole implementation. 2026 is, I think, the 3rd year of our plan, and just with the council's adoption of the service level objectives this last year, just updating the council on that progress. So that's why we suggested putting it there as an update. Moving over to the right-hand side of that list, to the question just asked, digital accessibility mandate. That's, again, a staff-initiated conversation in that just updating the council on what we're doing in terms of complying with the new federal mandates on digital accessibility. There's some significant costs related to digital accessibility, and to further, what I mean by that is our website. So there's new standards for our website in terms of how we post information. PDFs don't count anymore in terms of digital accessibility, and we have, help me Eric, or some, like thousands of PDF documents on our website. So there's a real effort on the new requirements on what we convert and how it's to comply with the new federal laws. So it's an update on that accessibility issue, because there's going to be likely some budgetary asks in 2027. So that's why, Eric, anything else on that? I think. Okay, and then Purgatory Park is, I think, come up, and so June, that we probably that should have maybe been on the first list, but June, we had committed to coming back to the council on an update on Purgatory Park and the off-leash dog review. Marsh update, I think that was a staff-initiated, talking with Kelly, just doing an update just on Marsh and where we're at with the Marsh finances. Did I miss anything, staff? I think those are a few of the staff suggested items.
All right, and then, the list, did you get all the ads? Or
We were, in addition to ads, we were supposed to talk about anything that we had here pre-existing, if there was any questions, and I just wanted to say we have short-term rentals, so I think that was on the study session. I don't know if that's still, I thought it was gonna stay, or that there was gonna be some proposal in Q1.
It's in there.
Yep, no, I just wanted to make sure that we knew that, what that was, and I really appreciate staff taking a look at it, and the fact that, hopefully we can agree to do that. It's becoming more of an issue with the investment properties now that are coming in. There's been some data coming out. And then reviewing the developer refinancing policy, that kind of came about, I think, for me, out of at one point where we were helping a developer refinance multi-family housing, and then is there any way, or should we be, is that a point where we could or should maybe ask for things? I think for one project it was a new project, and I asked them to do rooftop solar.
Solar?
Rooftop solar ready. Should we be looking at that? And that was, I don't know if this is the appropriate place to put that for a study session, or if it's more of an operational versus a kind of a higher level thing. So
That would require a policy change, so that would have to be a council.
Yeah, that would,
Council
so
meeting,
yes, that would confirm that, because that would be a policy change, that would be a study session topic
Okay.
to.
Great, thanks, but that's what that was about.
All right, so we need to, in the interest of moving forward, let's each, let's go through and try and put names by these. So, Mike, the first one is the Trail Street project overview. That's staff. Okay. And then review developer financing policy. Who that is?
That was the one Paula was just talking about.
Okay. Do you want to own that, Paula?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. Review council policies. Rearrangement of the regular meeting agenda. Is that?
That's me and.
That was staff, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Rebecca and staff probably, yeah.
Conversation maybe about, I think that would include some of what Deb was talking about, and also, are there ways that we can kind of make, I'm really hoping, and tonight's not setting a very good precedent, but that we can be more efficient in our meetings in 2026, because it's a lot of feedback that I've heard from council members, but frankly, from people on the doors. Several people said, well, I went to a meeting and it just got too late, and so I left and I couldn't give my feedback. That is not, I think, what our goal is.
Right.
So we really need to find a way, probably reflect personally on that a little bit too, but on how we can be more accessible to folks, because being there until midnight is not good for us, but it's really not good for our resident. It's not good for staff, and it's not good for our residents.
All right, and
The
then
I would just say the other quick thing, in the rearrangement of the agenda, why I wrote it that way is, if you make changes to the agenda, and one example was comments from city manager and council. That's item 7, I believe. There are a lot of cities that put that towards the end. But to do something like that requires a policy change of the council. So it's a policy discussion. That's why it's written that way.
yeah, and then discussion on recreational amenities, self-sustaining versus community funded, and I think we have examples of both. I mean, we have
Ice Arena.
Yep, ice arenas, and then just different things that some pay for themselves and some are paid for with taxpayer dollars. Somebody want to own that?
It may have been just,
well,
that could be one I just
that
put on
might
the
have been
list because I
me.
heard a conversation about it.
I'm in one of our conversations. That might have been me.
I mean, I think it kind of lives in marsh operation. I mean, is that really what
It really, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's tie
I
those.
mean, there have been comments from former council members who, kept on making comments about, jettisoning our ice arenas. And I think we all, I don't think it was just one person. This has come up several times as we grappled with, and I know it came up at the doors for me because you have people that are so grateful for the marsh and don't really, they want it as a public amenity. Then you have other people that think it should be privatized, and then other people that think that it has to be self-sustaining or forget it. So there was a wide variety of views in the community, and we've talked about it over and over. So that's one that to me came up over and over. I don't know that any one of us really, that it
It
Yeah,
can't.
it's underlying a lot of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, then maybe we take that off and cover that issue with marsh operations update, where it's doing, and if there's anything to be added to that. I'm for making this list more efficient, even though I won't be here. Does that sound all right to people? And
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, so let's take that one off and put marsh operations update, and if there's a sub point on that, we can add that. The HERC, Hennepin County Energy Recovery Center. Is that a topic we want to discuss on a study session?
I think I've brought that up before. At this point, no, because at this point, I'm just like, it's been a lot with that. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, other avenues. for
Okay,
that.
we can move that one off. Okay, and then short-term rentals, I think, Paula, you want to own that one?
Yep.
All right. Public safety master plan update, that's going to happen. That's going to stay. Cannabis stores in Minnetonka, and I think we've broadened that with this whole issue of controlled substances, advertising. Update cannabis stores, but then I think as a sub point to that, we could make advertising targeting youth with controlled substances. And we can define that however we want, but does that do that
Yes,
for you?
that
Kimberly?
sounds
With
Yep.
potentially harmful substances.
'Cause they're not
because
controlled.
Kratom isn't.
No, that's right. That's right.
Right.
Controlled.
Just use substances,
yeah.
do not use the word controlled.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just saying for,
yeah.
that way we know it's all
Substances,
substances.
yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
substances.
Yeah.
Substances subject to abuse.
Yeah.
It's a vices.
Sugar. That's mine.
Vices.
Well, that's why I was saying.
We'll be here a long time.
Okay, so
Candidate
then.
filing fee.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's
and,
me.
And that one, and I think that could be filing fees / process, because I think not to discuss the issue, but I think there's two things there. One is, you want to get away from gadfly candidates, and $5 creates that opportunity. On the other hand, to Kizzy's point, you make it too high, and then you limit your market because people who $100 is a lot of money to can't do it. But then a lot of cities require 25 signatures, and anybody can get signatures, and it demonstrates a seriousness of, okay, you can either pay $100 or you could pay $5 and get 25 or 50 signatures, and it demonstrates that you're willing to put some effort in, and that's a big. I think some of the candidates we had for mayor this time, probably if they would have were required to get 25 signatures, would not have been on the ballot. Speculation on my part. So
Okay.
anyway, group home cluster, we took that one off for the appropriate reason. Budget discussion, CIP, EIP, I think we want it.
Yeah, we have it.
It's got to be there. Yeah, that's a lot of study sessions. And then Deb, you brought up cryptocurrency, crypto ATMs. It's certainly a controversial area. What are your thoughts?
I kind of want to keep it on because it's really a vulnerability issue for some of our certain, for people in the community that might be taken advantage of. And so I just think it's hopefully wouldn't take very much time, but in discussion, but it would be, I think it's worth talking about possibly what other communities are doing so that we can make some informed decisions about actions we can take to protect our residents, including possibly prohibiting crypto ATMs here so that they can't get ripped off, which is, what's happening. I mean, it's a national topic.
All right. So that we've got that, and Deb, you can own that a little bit. Digital accessibility mandate, we've covered that. Purgatory Park, we know that's going to come forward. Maybe sub-point on there. Other dog park locations.
Yeah.
Add to that. Is that
Yeah.
good? Is that satisfying to people?
Yeah.
And then marsh operations, we're going to have Opus placemaking. I mean, I don't think that's going away. Any comments on that?
No, we need it.
No,
Yeah.
we need it.
Okay, and then
What's that?
There will
probably a plan that they have to look at.
Yeah,
So that'll be
good.
in a study session.
Yeah, that's good. And then speeding's coming off, youth and community programs. Kizzy, I think that one, you had that one?
I put it on there, but I think it's embedded in our, strategic plan, and I think, we've done a lot, and I think it's not gonna go away, so, if you wanna take it off, you can, but.
Okay, we can do that because, to your point, I think it's gonna get covered, and
We've grown that.
you can make sure that we're mindful of it when it comes forward. That'd be good. So then, we've already added advertising targeting youth. Drive-through regulation is not on there, and I think there's a pretty broad consensus that that's something that we should look at, because we're going to keep getting requested, and unless we deal with it, we're going to be in no position to say no, correct?
Yes, yes, for sure.
Okay, and then, the whole issue, the whole ICE issue, I jotted it down as federal, state enforcement concerns locally. Impact of federal law enforcement actions on our community, and now that's,
And that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to say it. Like, how do we address that some type of way? Because I have been thinking, like, what can we do on a, I remember us always saying local control.
Right.
So I was like, how do local control play into this?
and I think, I think it's really kind of something that would come from Eric and really kind of, and law enforcement from Scott, on what, how are different law enforcement agencies organized, federal, state, and local, and how and what say do we have? Who do we work with? Who do we not work with? And how can we, what's our relationship with them? I think that's a worthy topic.
Is
And
it a
what can we
legislative
do
thing
and what
where-
can we not do?
Well,
Yeah.
Municipality.
But I think, certainly it's a legislative thing. If you're going to change, but it would be that would be a very long putt, I think, to make any changes there. But understand our degrees of freedom and how we operate, I think, is important, and how our local law enforcement works with different agencies. There's a lot of different agencies.
Okay.
Am I making you uncomfortable, Scott or Eric, on any of that?
Well, that's to be put on then, right?
The Mentimeter.
Yeah. All right, then.
All right.
That's an agreement.
And then,
We're discussing stuff that we can discuss in the study group.
yeah. And then e-bikes. I heard the comment that it's a West Metro thing, but I think it's broader than that.
I think so.
It's more than
Yeah,
West Metro,
there's,
everywhere.
okay, and then, let's see, and then we talked about public comment already. And then sustainability and parks are the two, but we've added parks basically to the Purgatory Park conversation and dog parks. Is there a broader conversation on parks alone?
Yeah. Paula, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, we can put it there. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. We're talking about that and Purgatory and Opus placemaking at various places and drive-throughs. All of them kind of are swimming in the same pond there, it seems like.
Okay.
Park sustainability, whatever.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's a yes.
A sustainability pond.
Okay, well, okay, but that, I think there's two different issues there. I think there's the parks issue, and then there's a sustainability issue. And you could put drive-throughs and,
I'm sorry, drive-throughs is, that's.
yeah,
more, but
that's.
That's
Climate
its
action.
own thing.
Yeah.
Action plan.
So-
Never mind.
All
I
right,
think-
parks.
Maybe, I don't know, regarding parks, our joint meeting, I always see that as kind of an opportunity. If there's something we want to hear about, I suspect we're going to be hearing about master planning this year. But, I see that as an opportunity every year to,
Yeah.
talk about parks.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would just want to,
But we're still keeping the office.
Well, we still have to vote
Right.
on all this
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So, Sarissa, have you been following, kind of, do you have a sense? Why
Mostly.
don't,
Seriously,
I think I
way
just
ahead.
need clarification on is sustainability matters and update.
take You can take it off. That's
Take it
fine.
off?
I mean, it's more of an area than
An
it's
issue.
it's more of a subject than a topic.
Okay. And then
Okay.
is parks going to be its own separate category?
Or is it part of the Purgatory Park off-leash, you know, because we've got dog parks under that. Is there, should we make it a broader conversation on parks? And that's a question staff weigh in too. I mean, if we had a study session on parks and included that, other dog park opportunities and a Purgatory Park update review, I mean, that would be kind of a comprehensive parks thing. Does that make sense?
It does. I guess I would just ask the question, just for clarity, on when you say parks, more specifically, what does that mean? And again, I would say the same for sustainability, in the sense that we have a sustainability commission.
Yeah.
We have a
Parks
parks
board.
board. They're doing work on your behalf. Though all of our boards and commissions, by matter of process, are coming to the February 3rd regular meeting to give an update to the council on their own work plans. So the boards and commissions are going to be presenting their work plans to you in February. So I guess I would want to understand, it'd be
It's a
helpful
good
to
question.
understand, like, when you say parks, what do you mean by parks?
Yeah.
Or sustainability, so where does that fit in? Because we have our boards and commissions doing work, and they're presenting their work plans to you. And so there's an opportunity in there for you to direct boards and commissions on if there's something of particular interest of you, whether it's the sustainability and the CAP, or if it's parks and their work plan, if there's some interest of you of them doing some exploratory work or some direction to them.
Well, I would say, I mean, just thinking about it, I mean, we don't need to be redundant. If there are, I mean, I think getting an update on Purgatory Park, because it's been such a big deal, is something that we want as a study session item. We have to do it.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, a broader, you know, some of the more broad questions could be part of that park board review, and then we're not being redundant.
Okay, that sounds good.
Makes sense to
Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody?
and then to Rebecca's point, we have the joint meeting.
Right.
Where if there's
Yeah.
anything specifically that we
And
want to discuss.
If there are some questions on this list that we would want to direct either the park board or the sustainability commission, we should do that.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Agreed.
sounds good.
All right, Sarissa, is it kind of straight now?
We'll see how I did.
All right. Okay, you probably did just
I'm
great.
sure she did well.
Okay.
So the idea is, so Sarissa took notes. I know you can't read everything along the bottom there. So if you use your phone and do the QR code, what Sarissa and I talked about, and if you want to change it, now's the time to do that, is to, before you vote, we teed it up to pick 5 topics that are your top 5. And then we'll see how that kind of shakes out, and then if we need to make some adjustments, we'll go from there. So if you think that's an okay starting spot, go into Mentimeter. All those topics that we just talked about should be listed there, and just use your finger and kind of press on the things you feel are most important. And I just say that because if you think about the study session work plan, we actually do not have a study session in what month?
July?
It's on the plan. There's 1 month where we could not get a study session scheduled. just
September.
September. So we have 11 study sessions, and we know December's always this conversation. And
So you have 10.
So we have 10 study sessions, again, with a lot of sprinkled in with budgets and set schedules. So my point of saying all that is that we have 20 things listed here, and we're likely, it's again, your study session plan, so it,
We have CIP on here already, and it's on here. So can we agree not to vote for that in our 5?
yeah, agree, yeah, do not, thank you, Rebecca.
Got it.
Say that again?
Don't vote for CIP, EIP, it's already
it's-
scheduled.
Yeah.
Because it's already in there.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm not voting.
And I would also suggest that the public comment period can just be included in review of council policies and a rearrangement. So don't vote for the, don't vote for review of public comment.
What about Purgatory Park?
Maybe I'll check it
We're
out.
doing Purgatory Park.
I'm gonna vote for
I think that's a good
that.
point,
So
Kimberly.
there's 5.
Yep, I mean, Purgatory Park's there, so it's gonna be there regardless.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Okay, so we're not voting on Purgatory Park either, to be
Right.
clear?
Correct.
Because it's already there.
Because it's
Yeah.
already on the plan.
You just changed it, so now they can vote. Right? You refreshed it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
says waiting for presenter to change slides.
Madam
Oh, I
Chair,
see, no, because I already voted, I got it, all right.
Gotta do it again.
Oh, we need to do it again?
So, hold it
Right,
up
you
there.
refreshed it?
It's been updating.
No, it's updating every time somebody does it, that's why it's doing that thing.
Sarissa,
So I'm sorry, we're not
when
supposed to do
someone's done,
March,
they
is
hit
that
submit.
right?
Yep,
Does it
so
pop up there?
3 people
No,
voted so
Oh.
far.
That's still
When do
on
the
the,
results
that's
pop
still
up?
an
When I
option.
hit the over arrow.
Okay.
I think I did vote for it.
I know.
So we took Purgatory out,
Wait, so
right? And
Yeah.
March.
Purgatory should not
Okay.
be on the list?
Because it was
Purgatory's
already
gonna
on.
come up in June.
Do you want me to take it off?
Can you?
I
What
can.
would that do?
Well, mine doesn't update. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't submitted mine yet, but.
Oh, I can't because people voted already.
Yeah, exactly. Not that I know what that's like. I mean, I'd say theoretically you could.
Are you ready?
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the presenter to change. So.
Yeah, that's, I think, yeah, Brad's not voting.
Oh,
I'm not voting. I
Okay,
won't be here.
Ed?
is everybody done?
So it's
we've
all
got
good.
6.
It's all
So
good.
we've got 6 of 7, because.
Oh. Okay,
Well, looks
can't
like
read
we've
it.
got
I can't
Okay,
read.
6
so
topics.
I can read it. It is 5 votes for trail, street, and project review. 2 votes for review developer refinancing policy. Then 4 for the council, I'll just go up to it. Then 4 for council policies rearrangement of the regular meeting agenda, that includes the public comment. 2 for short-term rentals. 2 for public safety master plan update. 3 for substance regulations. 1 for candidate filing. 0 for crypto. 1 for digital accessibility. 1 for, well, Purgatory Park will be on the agenda. 3 for Marsh operations, 1 for Opus, 4 for drive-throughs, 1 for federal/state reinforcement concerns, 0 for e-bikes.
So I think we have our 5, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is that how many,
That'd be-
is that how many we need? I mean, how many topics is staff really looking for?
Let us go back and plug these in, because I want to just connect with staff on how much time we think these topics will take. So we want to estimate, is this 30-minute conversations, or are they 2-hour conversations? So we'll try to do some estimating on how much time is probably needed on these. Bring back to you a filled in. We'll fill it in, move some things around, compartmentalize it like we talked earlier.
Yeah, I would say, I would say after the time assessment, I mean, there's 5 clear, they got 3
Yeah.
or more votes. And then, but the 3 that got 2, if we can include those, if we have time to include those, great. If we don't have time, then they drop off. But I think you got the direction you need.
Yep, I think we've got 5 clearly, and then 3 more that
Yeah.
have the 2 votes, and we'll look to get all those in.
Okay.
Is everyone feeling okay about this process?
Yeah, I just have one quick question.
Go ahead.
Because at an earlier study session, we had agreed to go ahead and look at the short-term rental, and now it only has 2. Does that mean that we're not going to go forward with that?
No, it's on there.
Okay.
Yep, it's on there.
Okay, because it only got 2 votes.
So we'll do the 5, and there's 3 that have 2 votes.
Uh-huh.
So we'll look to get those 3 in.
Okay.
But at a minimum, we did talk about having the short-term rentals
Yep.
come forward.
If you can only get one of the 3, that's
That
fine.
could be the one, yeah.
And like Alpaca and Mike about putting the zoning work together with both. of those
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rather than having all these one-off conversations.
All right.
That'd be great.
And I think as staff too, we might, as we study this list, we might have some other suggestions of where these could come up in other conversations and how we can best package all of these.
Okay, so that brings us to item C, which is 2025 legislative priorities. I'll turn that over to Mike.
Yeah,
And-
thank
and-
you.
And I'll preface, say, just quickly on those that last 2 items.
Okay, so similar process to what we just went through. And Sarissa, do you want to tee that up?
Yeah,
here?
I'm trying to figure out how I can not do this.
All right, so obviously the first discussion question, again, in your staff report is what legislative matters should the city consider and prioritize for next year? That's the exercise we'll go through. And then at the conclusion of the conversation, do you have a preference or what works best to schedule our legislative session with our legislators? So we'll want to get that scheduled here soon to make sure our legislators are available. Staff suggests Friday, January 23rd or Friday, January 30th. So we'll need to hear from you what works best for you.
Do we, I mean,
Friday
either
for
one
me?
works fine.
You wanna know?
Yeah.
I go Jesus.
You work from home every Friday?
Every
That's a
Friday, so
Tuesday,
it don't matter
usually.
which day.
These are Fridays.
Oh, yeah, that's true. 22nd. Anyway, okay.
But-
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So
So you
Sarissa,
want to tackle that now? Is there a
Yeah.
date that works better?
Agnostic.
I think there's general,
Yeah.
Was that-
either one.
Either one.
Flexible.
Friday.
So, yeah, maybe see if make sure there's nothing else calendared or
Yeah,
for the
and-
legislators.
Well, and the the legislators, I mean, I think they'll show up. I mean, the legislative session doesn't start till the middle of February. The only thing, when is
MLK Day.
MLK Day? But that's earlier,
That's
so
a
that
Monday.
doesn't
That's a
interfect.
Monday.
That
Yeah, so
doesn't
these are-
affect
yeah.
either weekend. I mean,
Right.
sometimes,
Oh, I see.
sometimes if we're on the, following the 23rd, then you'd have a longer weekend opportunity, but I don't think that's an issue.
No.
So pick one. Yeah.
If it sounds like there's flexibility, we'll work with our legislators and see what works best for them and
Yes.
get it scheduled.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay?
All right.
All right, so let's go into discussing these legislative priorities. Again, as I was chatting with both Brad and Mayor-elect Rebecca on these, kind of same thing, I think just kind of quickly go through the list for context if we can. And then we have Mentimeter to flush out what the priorities are. And I think what we've have learned through our in working with our legislators, if we can identify 3 to 5, I would always suggest no more than 5 kind of major priorities. Doesn't mean that others can't be listed. What we've listed as, what we've tended to do in the past is call those awareness topics. So it's still keeping them on the list, but certainly elevating which ones are most important to the city. So if it's okay, would you like me to just quickly run through the list for context, and then we'll pull up Mentimeter and try to keep it moving? So housing, I know housing has been, as we all know, first and foremost, I think with metro cities, with MLC, with the league, we know there's going to be more housing bills coming forward. And so so it's listed on there as a potential legislative priority. It was this past year as a legislative priority. And TIF pooling, and Julie's can answer questions on housing. There's also, housing can go pretty darn deep in this conversation, but again, I think want to flush out with the council, where does housing fit in terms of this conversation? E-bikes, enough said on probably e-bikes being on a legislative priority. I will say that My understanding in talking to Metro Cities, the League, and MLC, they all three of those have those listed as a legislative, not priority, but it's in their legislative platform. They have a policy position on it. I don't know how much attention this will get at the legislature because it is more isolated. I don't want to say to the suburbs, but from what I'm hearing in terms of the lobbyists, it's more isolated to the metro. So I don't know to what extent the League will take up e-bikes as a big priority because the League represents statewide. So I'm sensing the League's probably not going to take the lead on it. Therefore, the lead, and I believe there's probably some thumb wrestling between Metro Cities and MLC on which of those agencies will take the lead. For what that's worth, I just want to make sure you're aware that e-bikes, while it's very important to us and a lot of suburban cities, I'm sensing it may not get a lot of traction legislatively. Bonding, certainly, again, we have our bonding request. It's
Yep.
probably going to be a high priority. Accountability for utility and fiber companies. This really relates to looking for legislative help, perhaps, on our right-of-ways. And this goes to all the right-of-way permits that have been issued. We hear from residents with concerns on, a lot of times, the non-responsiveness, poor craftsmanship, lack of utility companies back and doing good restoration efforts on right-of-ways. So, again, highlighting that. Clustering of group homes has come up. Paul, I think this is something you had mentioned, the expansion of a pilot program for public safety cameras. Right now, there are 2 cities, Minneapolis and Shreveport. Was it Columbia Heights or Inver Grove Heights? I'm not sure which one. There's another suburb that has.
I think it's Columbia Heights.
Columbia Heights does have a pilot program where there's cameras out to capture speeders, and whether that's something that is the interest of this council of as a priority, seeking further expansion of that for perhaps other cities. Deb, expansion of franchise fee authority, that's come up on our Southwest Cable Commission. There is Woodbury's kind of the leading example on this one, where it's pretty legally complicated. I probably won't get all the explanation correctly. There's been a premise, though, at the federal level that for franchise fees, it's, we have our cable franchise, and it's been, cities have always had that franchise agreement with the cable company. That's where we collect fees. There's, again, I say the premise at the FCC that fiber optic companies are exempt from cable franchise fees. There's been some changes, I think, interpretation of that law, and I think the question for you, the council, is do we want to be in a position to advocate for expanding franchise fees to fiber optic companies? Woodbury's taken that approach. There are some other cities taking that approach, and we've had conversations. I say we, meaning Minnetonka, as part of our Southwest Cable Commission, on looking to expand that authority to cities. If we get that authority, that would certainly perhaps be a revenue source to plug a hole with revenue loss with the cable franchise fee. Low-cost sales tax, conversation that's been on the current plan, the current legislative priorities for this past year. Another one noted there is construction sales tax exemption. This is more of a statewide matter. Cities have long advocated for sales tax exemption for construction projects. We do pay sales tax as a city on construction. There have been exemptions to cities over the years. We as a city did get a sales tax exemption when we built the new police and fire facility. That takes special legislation to get exemption of sales tax on your materials. It saves us considerable amount of money, and just knowing what we have on the horizon for potential capital costs, seeking construction sales tax exemption would be beneficial for us, obviously. So that's the list, very quickly going through that. Mayor and council, I would suggest if there's something you want to add to this, now's the time to do that. And then, or answer any questions, add to it, and then kind of go through a Mentimeter exercise.
Kimberly.
I guess it's a question if it needs to be added. Are we still wanting to look at our EMT service and availability to choose, or response times, the whole thing? So I guess I would
I
ask.
couldn't hear you, Kimberly, sorry.
Oh,
You don't have your mic on?
No.
that doesn't.
No, I know, but you don't.
It's on.
Sorry.
So EMT response times and our ability to choose our EMT service or
Local control over,
control over that, is that something that we're still
which we had in
advocating
last
for?
year's. Yeah.
That's still being looked at the state level. It didn't gain a lot of traction last year, but for our fire service day at the Capitol, it is still one of our priorities this year to try to keep those discussions moving. So yeah, it's definitely on the radar there.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I would suggest, Sarissa, that if we could, I would suggest council, we add EMS or that local control element, and EMS being a subcategory of that.
And I also talked to Mike about local control, about planning and zoning, specifically in the local control section.
And I had one about, you know, I understand, or it's been talked about that the legislature is going to talk about safety at the Capitol and limitations on guns and access in the Capitol building. And I don't want to kick a hornet's nest, but if that's a conversation that's going to be added or had, I'd like them to think about including cities and having a right to restrict firearms on city property and council chambers particularly.
I think Metro Cities has that in their platform. So I have a question. You said local option sales tax, is that one of those things that's already on, so we don't need to?
Well, I think we may want to talk about our request if we're going to have one.
So we do need to vote on it?
Probably.
And I would recommend, I think Ann Rest is still a factor, so I would take the word option out of that, because that's a good way to just prejudice her opinion on our request. She does not like the word option. Local sales tax.
Yeah.
She's the chair of the finance.
Right. And I have a question. So these are all really good, and then we have last year's priorities. Are we trying to, because for instance, there's nothing, I think the support resources for juvenile justice, family support, small businesses are still really good. And there's nothing in here really, again, for environment, and we had some good stuff in there last year as well, for EAB, the CAP and PFAS, and those kind of aren't going away. And so I was just wondering, it looks like we're bringing e-bikes out of the awareness topics and into a legislative priority. What about like the Highway 7 TMO? I just didn't know where this would fit in sort of what we already had, because all of the housing stuff is still really good in last year's. So it's a question I had.
Well, and I'd comment, as I looked at the 2025 legislative priorities, I thought there was a legislative list and not priorities. I think there's too much there. And I think if we want to get attention, we need focus. And I think that's what this exercise is. I think if housing made the cut, I think the stuff that's in housing would be there. But I think we have to pick and choose what's important to Minnetonka.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of stuff we care about. What's important?
Well, I mean, if we don't put something about the environment in there, we're missing a strategic priority personally. So we can pick one thing, but I would put something in there. And I mean, climate is huge for me. PFAS is kind of my baby, but it may not be the same for everybody.
I mean, the one thing that I agree, I think it's a priority. The one thing I struggle with is, what are we asking for? Like, this list kind of gives us very specific things that we want in Minnetonka. And the environmental stuff is, do we have a thing that we want? I don't know that we've identified a thing. It's more like, make sure you're prioritizing the environment. or PFAS, what does that, what does that mean? I don't know what it means.
I actually had some things under environment, in addition to PFAS to consider. For me, it was, and I don't know where they are, and this is building codes, state level green building codes. It's hard to, we've talked about, I think I've had the conversation where it's hard to impose local ones, because it'd be easier to have it at the state level. So I don't know if it's a priority or a subject for awareness. And then, kind of incentives for the clean energy adoption and transition. I know funding's gonna be challenging this year, potentially, but either for awareness or within the environment, those are things that, obviously relate to our own plans. And I don't know if we still need EAB, if we need to keep that mitigation in the front. So those are three things that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, that we can't put them all, perhaps, if there's a way to, if people had priorities or that or other things that they were thinking of.
Well,
But I agree that we
I
need
mean,
to have
it's
something.
fun, as far as I'm concerned for the environment, I mean, for me, for PFAS, it's restricting production and providing, helping municipalities that are dealing with it pay for it and help them with resources to mitigate it, because it's very difficult. And I think with Emerald Ash Borer, it's really what the state has been trying to do, which is provide funding again for tree loss mitigation. So I think those are those are kind of easy asks. And in terms of things like juvenile justice, there are so few resources for juvenile justice. There's just nothing there, and the legislature needs to help the county figure out how to support youth that get crosswise with the justice system, because there's no place to put them, and we don't have any supports for them.
Didn't they just open? Anyway,
They-
just.
yeah, they did.
But I think we're,
Yeah, is that something that the city would ask though, or is that a county ask? I just don't know.
well, I think
Yeah.
my view is that we really need to get focused on, what 3 to 5 things do we as a city really care about and would like our legislators to carry the freight on. I think a lot of these things are going to get carried by other people, but what have our residents asked for, and how can we bring some focus to this? Because, I mean, I think last year I think the list we have here is a wish list and not priorities. And I think, again, I'm not voting, but I think we have to understand what do we want to try and get and what's important to us. And I think there should be some specific asks with these, and 3 to 5, and otherwise we're just having a conversation.
Can we vote?
Yeah.
So, thank you. And we can turn this over to Mentimeter. And Sarissa, can you just pull up Mentimeter? Because how we tried to get to that, and so the list that we just looked at was created based on something that came forward that I got from a council member, or something that in the emails that I sent out recently, just in terms of asking the council ahead of time so we could streamline this conversation, things that are important to you. So that's the list was developed on what I got from you. And so how we thought we'd tee this up to bring some focus to it. So each of those bullet points that we just read off, you're asked each of those individually. For example, on housing and TIF pooling, is this a priority? So I think we'd like to maybe put 2 categories on our one pager that we'll create. One is this a priority for you, or does it fall in the other category of just an awareness topic, where we can just highlight it with our legislators? But I think the mayor is correct in that it really is important that we as a city really just bring 3 to 5 things forward, saying this is what's really important to us. There's some other things that we can mention, and I know the league struggles with this too. The league has 100 pages of legislative priorities. And I can tell you, because I know a lobbyist pretty well there, that at the end of the day, the league has 100, 200 policies, and at the end of the day, the league really focuses on like 20 of those. And so that's because you can't overwhelm legislators. And so I think it's really important.
Or said another way, it's easy to overwhelm legislators,
Easy to
so you got to be
overwhelm
focused or
yeah.
you get nothing.
You get nothing. And so
Yeah.
I think, well, we can hone in on lots of things that are important.
I think that's a better one.
So that's how we're kind of teeing it up, is to really
Or
kind of
go
understand
to
from you of
Mentimeter
these,
and
what
put
are
the number in.
priorities, what are perhaps just awareness topics.
Yeah, no, it's working.
If you want to remove them, great. And then, or if you've got another thought about that, there's an other category.
Right.
Well, I see, so we're doing it one at a time?
One at a time. So just kind of one at a time, kind of how do you kind of categorize these?
Because we really only want like 3 to 5 priorities, right?
Right, yep.
Yep, and you might say priority on all of them. That's okay, and then we'll just kind of see where this all lands and
So
continue.
we want way less than last year, is that what we're
Yes,
saying?
yeah.
I don't know why my eye's not working.
If you go to just Mentimeter.com and then you can put that number in and it'll bring you to the,
Oh. Yeah.
that, for some reason that QR code was tricky. It wasn't
was-
working for me either.
Well, it's
I
changed
think my
now.
cursor was over it.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, I see.
It's working now.
Huh?
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you in now, Kizzy?
That was it was an easy one.
Oh, there it is.
Wait a minute, mine just kicked me.
Thank you. It's getting along, y'all.
Did you vote on this one?
Can't pull up the Mentimeter. Okay.
It's Mentimeter's fault. Amanda's gonna be like, no thanks.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, consensus.
We doing it one at a time?
Yep.
I think your phone should change as I change
Yeah.
the slide.
Are you still getting the, wait to change slides?
Okay. Should be easy. Oh. Maybe.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Do we think a lot of people are talking about this?
I'm talking about speeding.
No, I mean a lot of people across the state. Is this some?
E-bikes or the?
No.
No, speeding.
Are they
The-
talking about
the
expanding the
cameras.
pilot camp program? Like,
I
is
have
this
no
a
idea.
is there chatter about this out there?
I mean, there's been some
Okay.
articles and stuff about, people wanting it or not wanting it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Mhm.
that camera one, my daughter got a warning at my house. It's like a warning ticket in the
Oh, did
mail
she?
from Minneapolis.
Okay.
I called her. I'm like, you got a warning. And
Warnings,
they took a, like,
warning's better than a ticket.
that's what I told her. I said, you speeding? So this, I had a question about this construction sales tax exempt. Is that saying that like construction companies don't, they get exempt
No.
for tax? What is that?
We
saying?
don't have to
It's
pay it on the
us. Oh, for us.
supplies,
It's for us
yeah.
when we build something.
Oh, we get the tax exempt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as the construction company.
Good clarification.
Yep.
All right.
And then I didn't know if we were voting on local control or environment.
I think, yeah, so I think how I would, is there a way to summarize what you have on the screen or not? So I think you probably saw the results of that.
Mhm.
I think for tonight's purposes, I think staff has what we need. We will update this one pager based on the results. And then I would just probably look to add a topic of local control. You just have kind of a couple themes under local control. And then I would, if it's okay with council, under the category of awareness, add a couple items on environment, similar to what we did for this year.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, we have two legislators who are very receptive to those kind of topics.
So we're good, we're done? I mean, there's this, should we vote on this thing?
I think we're okay on that.
I think we're
Okay.
not.
I guess my question for you, I know it's getting later, council, are you comfortable, at least right now? I think, at least what I've seen, I
If
think
you've got the direction you need,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
We're fine.
probably pretty good.
And I'll bring it back, we'll bring it back to you in the January meeting. You can make changes again. You'll have another chance to take a look at how this is pulled together. If something needs to be amended and added to, you'll have that chance at January. But I think for tonight,
Yep.
we have enough direction.
All right, so that brings us to item D, the 2026 City Council and Staff Appointments. Mike, I'll turn that over to you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'll probably just quickly turn it back to you. In my conversation with all of you today, I think we talked about logistically how we'll tee this up tonight. As you noticed in the attachment in the staff report, it's largely blank. So that way you as a council can, we'll do a draft scenario. I talked with Rebecca and Brad today just on how that will be facilitated. I think Brad or Rebecca's gonna maybe Rebecca's gonna take more of the lead on this one, I believe.
think it's 2026, yep, I think. Rebecca
All
will
right,
take
so
the
we'll
lead.
do a draft scenario, pull a number out of the cup, and whoever has number one gets to go first. And
Yep.
we'll just start filling in the assignments for next year. We did update from the staff report, we did update where I think Rebecca has a couple spots. So for example, on I-494 Corridor Commission, Rebecca has a leadership role there, so she is chair. So it would be logically put her back, I actually want to be back in that spot. Deb is also in the Southwest Suburban Cable Commission. She's the chair of that, so it would be logical for Deb to go back into that. Hopkins School, there's our school city meeting, that's always for mayor and city managers. Same thing with Minnetonka, so Rebecca's listed there as mayor. And then on the Fire Relief Association, by statute, that's the mayor's position, so that would be Rebecca as well. Sarissa, could you just scroll up real quick? Just to note on, you'll see the Green Line Extension Committee, there's a work steering committee, the change control board, the advisory, the ones that are crossed out no longer exist. So as we've gotten closer to light rail opening, those committees are being kind of fading away. They're
Yeah.
deleted, they're done. But there is the Green Line Extension Corridor Management Committee. That is one role yet on that. And also the Places Committee.
And
So
so when we were talking, when Mike and I were talking, there was some consternation about available spots last year, so we thought we'd kind of, with Brad moving off, and that opened up a lot of places as well. Just letting people kind of go down the line and pick, and then no pressure. So if you don't have the time and the interest, the capacity, you don't have to do any of these. So if you want to pick one, then pick your one and then opt out of the next round. So we'll just continue until everybody has either all the slots are filled or everybody is satisfied with their roles. I've taken my number out, and I'll just, if there's a spot to fill in with my role on 494 and the other obligations, I don't feel like I need to get my first pick or anything on any of this. So Sarissa put numbers together. Everybody's going to pick to see who goes first, and then, as Mike calls it, because he's a fantasy football guy, we're going to do a snake draft. So number 5 will go first in the second round.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yep. Like fantasy football.
And the other thing, Chris, I just noticed on MLC, the Metro Legislative Commission.
It's full. It's really folded up.
Okay, so can we ask questions of number 1?
Which
Sure.
one? This one?
Yep.
So,
Wait, not this one.
The
Yes,
land,
Like
the
this
West
one.
Hampton
Municipal
Affordable
Legislative
Housing Land Trust,
Yeah, that's a good
Thanks.
question.
which means.
That's Homesland Reach, that's the.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah.
How much time and,
Not very much time. It is, they have,
put this here.
I think they have
Are you gonna type in?
board meetings every month, every other month. They go from 5 to 6 p.m. on a Tuesday night typically. And so there's probably 5 or 6 meetings a year. And then there is one annual meeting that is often on a Saturday morning, and it's kind of an event because some of the homeowners come and they kind of make it a family thing. And so, I mean, that's basically it. Then I was treasurer, so there were a couple of other executive committee things that I did, but they'll pick a different treasurer.
yeah,
So I would
So
say
it's
6 or
Tuesdays.
7 meetings a year.
okay. So, because I'd like that.
Okay, that's your pick then.
Which one?
The
Patsy?
West Hennepin Affordable Housing Land Trust.
Who's number
Wow.
2?
I am. And I will take the LMC Improving Local Economies.
Did you get that, Sarissa?
I didn't hear that.
Improving
Pa-
Local Economies.
Paula's going to take LMC, Improving Local Economies. Who's got number 3?
Me, I'll do the housing,
Which one?
the metro.
Metro Cities Housing and Economic Development. That's Kizzy.
What was Patsy's first?
Walt.
Walt?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, let's let Chris. You got it, Sarissa? Okay.
Yep.
Who is 4?
Me. I will do Green Line Extension Corridor Management Committee.
Okay. Good one. Okay. Okay, Deb.
NLC, EENR.
That one, I think that one,
You're already in on that one.
All right.
yeah, you're already at.
Because you had to apply for that, right?
You had to apply for that, yeah, so you're on that.
I'm going to stay on my Improving Services Delivery Committee for LMC then.
So, Sarissa, can you add the NLC one for Deb, and then also,
Over here.
yeah, improving services? That's the one. That's the second one down on the top.
I don't think it was listed on there, but I'm on the NLC Community and Economic Development. Or I was and applied for it again.
Okay.
Economic development.
Community and Economic Development.
Okay, so Deb, are you ready with your second choice?
Oh, yeah. So I would say, let's just make sure it's on here. I would love to stay on the Minnetonka Family Collaborative. It keeps me afloat.
So you feel good. Kimberly, right? You're 5 or 4? Yep.
Oh, it's me again.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll do Places Committee again.
You got that? Source of places.
So that's Green Line, or that's Green Line, Places Committee right there.
Okay, and then, Kizzy, are you 3?
I'll do the Hopkins schools.
All right, Hopkins Schools and Communities, you got that. Okay, then it's Paula?
Oh, you just did, I'm sorry, you just did Hopkins School and Communities, didn't you?
Oh, and then,
Then, goodness. I think I would mind to be, what's EDAC?
okay, great. Patsy, do you want another one, or are you good? Okay. So then, Paula, it's back to you. If you want another one, now no pressure.
Okay, I think I'm gonna hold for now.
Okay, so does anybody else, Deb, you'll be last. You can probably take as many as you want. Kizzy, you're good? Kimberly?
I would just, I've been on the Improving Local that one repeatedly, so I would just be like a second member on that, and Paula can be the voting member.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that on any of these, right? So
Yeah.
if we're interested in sitting in on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I would encourage, people to consider other opportunities only because it broadens our reach, but,
Exposure,
yeah, no, no, you do what you want to do.
Can we be a second member?
You can, I mean, I think,
Well, I would love to be a second member on the West Affordable. I want to be the first one, so I would love that if we can.
On what?
On which
West
one?
Affordable
She wants to be on
Housing.
wall.
The land, wall.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
think that
I-
was a little different.
That one's a
because
board
that's
position.
That's a board seat.
versus, a
So
committee.
you get appointed.
I got a question for you.
It's not our board.
But can anybody come to those meetings though, on Tuesday nights?
I don't know.
Is that open?
I don't think they're per se public, but I think you could attend if you wanted to. I mean, I would call Brenda, yeah, and ask her if you could attend.
So it looks like everybody's satisfied with, for now, with what they have, or they're prepared to live with it. What I would suggest is maybe Sarissa can email this out again. Everybody can take another look at it, see, particularly look at the
committees
Metro
that I'm
cities.
on that haven't been chosen, because I'm on the Metro Agencies Committee, I'm on the Elections Task Force.
And I'm
So,
okay. I might want to pick one, but Deb, if you want to continue on those, that's great. But don't feel like you need to pick everyone to have coverage.
I just need to consider whether I have time to do
Yep.
a Metro Cities one.
So what these are confirm. I mean, what we have to confirm these at a council meeting, but these are kind of what we've solidified for tonight. And if people have regrets or they want to do more, Sarissa or Mike will email this out, and then we can reevaluate if we want to add to our obligations.
I can do the local, improving local economies committee. I think I was on that one last year.
So that we've got
Oh,
two
yeah. Oh, yeah.
people
Okay,
listed
okay.
already.
Never mind,
Yeah.
sorry. Never mind.
Okay.
Deb, did you want your name on the Metro Cities, or are you going to think about it? The ones you're already on?
I think she wants
I
to
mean,
be on
it's
those.
it's so minimal. I mean, the meetings are short, they're basically three times a year.
Which ones were they?
So it was the Metro Agencies Committee.
And then if the staff liaisons really think it would be useful to have.
Although, I mean, here's the thing, Metro Cities Transportation General Government Committee is completely open. Mike's already sitting on Metro agencies now.
Well, I can do that one.
No, I was considering that one too,
Okay.
but
Yeah, that one's on Mondays, just so you know, that committee meets on Mondays, which is,
For
I'd
you.
love to sit
Yeah.
on that one, but
Yeah.
Mondays is
Oh.
too difficult, so that, just so you know, that's a council meeting, those are on Mondays.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Great. What I was saying was if there's a staff member that's on one of these committees and feels like it would be really useful or imperative for us to get a council member on there, please let us know and we'll figure out how to make it happen. Otherwise, this looks like a good division of labor.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
this
yeah.
our zoning.
So the other, just to wrap things up, I think we're close to the end, and that's on the zoning,
Oh, right.
the zoning task force, zoning, what do you call it?
Work
Zoning-
group.
Thank you, zoning work group. So, question for the council is, how would you like to move forward with the zoning work group appointments? And there's kind of two considerations. I'll speak to one, Julie, I think will speak to the other. The council approved the mayor being on the zoning work group, and then Kimberly was, I think, you got your name drawn out of the hat on that one. With the mayor's coming off, obviously, well, the question for the council is, do you want to replace the
And
mayor?
Alex Hansen is on here as well.
So Julie's going to speak to that. And so with the mayor coming off, the question for the council is, do you want to replace that? And do you replace that with another person from the council? And then with the mayor coming off, keeping Brad on as a resident? Or are you giving him the heave-ho?
I'm indifferent. I will
So,
serve at
so the mayor will,
at the
so the mayor's been
council.
on serving as the mayor, representing the
Yeah,
council.
yeah.
And so with the mayor coming off, obviously, you have to decide where does where does Brad fit into that? If he's gonna remain on as a resident, you would need to make the decision, and then a replacement for Brad. So that's one question, and then I think to what Deb just mentioned, Julie will speak to then Alex Hansen.
Yeah, so Alex is off at the end of January, and so he could stay on as a resident as well. You do actually have an applicant for planning commission who's on the zoning work group, who's not the planning commission representative. So it depends on who you pick too, in the end, how this whole makeup ends up. Or, you know, or you can just have somebody else serve as planning commission. You know, they can pick somebody in January. So it just depends on how you wanna do it.
So I will say, as a member of the work group, that I would not be opposed to continuing with the people that are already on the work group. Like, the mayor's knowledge doesn't disappear just
Yeah.
because he's no longer mayor, and Alex, the same for Alex, assuming that he wants to continue.
Yeah, if he's willing to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think, I feel like we haven't really dug in yet and gotten to the meat of our work, and so I feel like the group that was selected to work is still a viable group.
I agree. I think it's useful. I think it's useful to have people with experience, and Alex is obviously probably the longest standing planning commissioner. To have his experience, I think, is useful. Likewise with Brad. I'm willing to serve if it makes sense to the rest of the council, but I don't know that we need to introduce anybody new to the group in the interest of efficiency.
Well, can we do both? Can we have Brad stay on and have another representative from the council, meaning you?
I think we can do what we want. We've kind of set this up as it's not like defined in our ordinance.
Does staff feel like it would, I mean, you know,
Are we
Rebecca's known for brevity, which she strives for, but do we feel like it would be, start getting unwieldy in terms of numbers? I don't. I mean, I kind of feel like I want
What if I
the people-
participated as just an observer? So I was there, I could understand what was going on, but I would really defer to the group for comments and discussion.
Yeah.
I think it's okay the way it is. I mean, unless you.
We don't have to put the thumb on the scale or anything from
But
I'm inclined to make sure that the people have been doing the work don't disappear.
Yeah.
Because we just, it's almost like everything they did just gets erased
Yeah.
and, you know, whoever, I just would prefer to keep the folks that have been on, including you, Mayor, sorry.
No, I
and
agree
then-
with you, Deb.
And I mean, if you want to be there, I think it's all to the good because you're going to have to deal with whatever they come up with.
It's an important issue, but I serve with pleasure.
We already talked about this, Brad, we want you there.
Yeah.
All right.
We want them there, but we want you there too.
Okay.
So my
Does that
Do we
make
need to make it
full
vis-
circle, we'll just go ahead and push this back on with the makeup that they're talking
Yes.
about. And then have like just an attachment to this for the zoning.
And do we need to make, does council need to take action on that?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it is, that's the way they appointed those.
They appointed those, okay.
You know, on the 13th of last year, that's when you appointed those.
So we'll include that with the other appointments listing.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it is.
That is it.
Is there anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, well, we can call this meeting adjourned. And, you know, I'd say farewell if this were my last meeting, but it's not.